Just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. You know what we're supposed to be doing on this evening? We're going to be having a guest come through. Nathan Livingstone is coming through a little bit later. However, I was planning to put off discussing Candace until after Nathan came on. So I was going to actually push it until almost 6 o'clock, 6:30-ish. However, she's been putting out some crazy takes on the old Twitter. So I said, you know what? We might need to go ahead and get started at 5 because this one's probably going to be a dumpster fire of dumpster fires. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get started. I do have a video I want to go over with you all, and that's Brandon Tatum was on a podcast recently, and a lot of people asked me to talk about it. So I'm going to look at it with y'all and get your 2 cents on it. This is just the most salient points that were sent to me. So it's going to be shorter. I believe the original one is like 28, 30 minutes long. And this one, we cut out a lot of the unnecessary. So shout out to everybody in the best live chat on the internet. Thank you so much for jumping in. We're going to get started real quick. Let's go ahead and bring this video in and let's go.
Truly think, and I don't know your relationship with her, I truly think Candace Owens is one of the most diabolical, evil-hearted women in America, probably in the world. One of the worst women in the world. I really think she's borderline evil. She, like 2 years ago, was talking about, and I know, I'm sorry, because I know you must probably be friends or something or somewhat. You probably talk. But she was talking about how Israel, I just want to give an example of a spiritual demonization of Israel in the name of Christianity that has nothing to do with like a regular, like, I don't like the politics of Israel. I don't like the way they handle things. She was saying that, Herzl, who, was like the OG Zionist, who thought about the founding of Israel and led to the founding of Israel, he was from the same place in Bohemia, Moravia that Frankists were from. And Frankists touch children and they like to, traffic children around the world and have people sleep. It's just so sick. And that he must have been a Frankist. So Israel was actually founded for the purposes of pedophilia. I have a direct quote, whatever. That's what I mean by and it was all about, Frankism versus like Christianity, this spiritual thing. And I think that that's a dangerous way of presenting Christianity. And it's going to create a problem.
Yeah, I think that, just like any religion, and I'll get to speaking about Candace here in a second, but just like any religion, people take the religion and they weaponize it in the way that they want to weaponize it. There's people who are Jewish who take Judaism and weaponize it. They take the Talmud and they weaponize it against Christians. Some people do. And every religion has that. You have the Islam. They take it and they weaponize it. And they blow up people and they kill people in the name of Allah. And Christianity is no different. The Crusades were an example of, in part, was an example of that. And so I don't think it's very unique that these Christians are doing this, or people who claim to be Christians are doing this. This is par for the course for people who have been deceived. I think that Tucker and all of them have been deceived.
So real quick, thank you for everybody who just jumped in. This is the Rochelle Lee Show. I just dropped the link down in the chat. Y'all can check her out. The full interview, of course, is there. I just pulled out the most salient points for our discussion today. Shout out to the best live chat on the internet. Make sure you tell me what like you are. Let's go.
Because if you actually read the Bible, and let me just say this. Do I think that Candace, and I know her personally, this is my friend, right? So,
yeah.
I'm open to criticizing anybody, but, I know her more than anybody, right? Mm-hmm. So do I think that she's intentionally being an evil person and all that stuff? No, I just think that she's been deceived.
I'm waiting to hear. Y'all make sure you let me know what he says after today and what she's saying about TPUSA.
I think that the Catholic Church and certain segments of the Catholic Church are deceived, and then they preach deception. And that deception, and when you turn against God and his promise to his people in the land, you get open to a reprobate mind, which in my opinion, do you start falling for every deception from the devil to teach you and tell you that that God's plan is not what God's plan is. And I think a lot of people fall susceptible to it. I think Candace really believed the stuff that she say. I think that she really believed these things. And as her friend, my job, my objective isn't to blast her in public Obviously, I can disagree with her principles. My job is not to blast in public. My job is to pray for her and talk to her in private, to try to, in my opinion, if I have an issue with her, to try to talk her through the issue, or talk with her with the issue, show her some scripture, pray for her. That's my job. Everybody else can say whatever they want to say about Candace. I love Candace. I really do think she's a great person. I just think she's falling for the okie doke when it comes to this anti-Israel stuff. Now, I can't speak for Nick Fuentes. I don't know him. I don't know Tucker Carlson. I think that both of them are evil. I think that they're evil. I just think that my friend Candace she's listening to certain things and it's got her believing this. And a lot of people believe the way she believes. It's not unique. It's almost like a part of a Catholic denomination to believe all of these negative things about.
Okay, I'm going to stop for a second because I want to see if he was going to clarify that. He says that he thinks Candace is a good person, but she's fallen victim to the anti-Semitism. That's not the worst thing that she's done. That's not the worst thing that she's done, Brandon. Now, granted, it is on the slate. Let's not minimize that by any means or measures. The issue is not that she's anti-Semitic, which she is, by the way. The issue is that she's demonic. As the young lady said right there's some real bona fide problems that have nothing to do with Israel. And we're going to see that today, I'm sure, at 5 o'clock. So let's keep it going. Let's go.
About Israel.
I was not going to get to Candace Owens this quickly, but I am going to get there eventually, but I'm going to mention her now. I don't understand why people, with platforms as big as yours are not calling her out by name as much. I know that recently you called her like sister or something on one of your podcasts. I know you reached out to her. And if it's true that, I don't know what's happening with France, if they're actually trying to kill her or not, but that obviously would be terrible. But I've been, talking about her online for a couple years and no one was listening to me because she, during the time of Kanye West, when he was saying that Jews milk black people until they die, that's a direct quote, or that Hitler was a great guy, he built, great highways. And then, Candace Owens was getting on the Daily Wire, which is, I believe co-founded by a Jew, Ben Shapiro. And she was just saying, this is what freedom looks like. He's a free black man. This is him being liberated. And I was a fan of hers and saying, what is going on? This is not normal. And again, it's not just about like Jew hatred. It's just about, I don't know, like common sense. So it's just obscene what's going on. So you're experiencing all of this because of your support for Israel and not saying that, what Israel is doing to Gaza is a genocide?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the crazy thing is, and there's a bright side to this, right? There's a lot of other people that are very enthusiastic.
Please tell us what that
is. That
is.
are very supportive. I've got a lot more followers that are reasonable. But kind of like filtering out the idiots that no longer follow me, I guess. But yeah, it's really because I literally said, let's have a fair evaluation consistent with the evaluation that you've given every other country, right? If you're going to say this is a genocide, it need to be a comparable genocide to other genocides that we know in history, right? You can't say that this is a genocide, but if America did it, it wouldn't be a genocide. In America, we've done way crazier stuff than what we see in Israel. Or if this was any other country defending themselves against a terrorist, we would never call them out for this, or claim that they're ethnically cleansing, which Charlie Kirk mentioned, which I would disagree with him on.
Yeah.
If he was, if we could have that conversation. But, I just don't understand to a certain degree why people are so incensed about something that they would not be incensed otherwise if it wasn't Israel. And it makes me think it's spiritual. It has to be somewhat spiritual. Because if you find yourself, and I don't know why people feel this way about Jewish people, because I've met good Jewish people.
I'm going to stop for a second. I think it's interesting that Brandon Tatum is using the word spiritual and the young lady, the hostess, is using the word spiritual. At this stage of the game, we might need to actually define the terms that we're using, because if you're saying that it's spiritual and she's saying she's spiritual, you're a Christian and she's a Jewess, we might need to really be clear exactly what we mean. What do you mean by it's spiritual? What do you mean by it's demonic? And then even more than that, maybe explain and tease out a little bit, what's the solution? Because if it is in fact a demonic situation or demonic influence, it's not going to be solved from anything that we can do. There's nothing we can do to resolve that. It's going to have to be a spiritual solution, an anti-demonic solution. and that solution can only be in Christ. So maybe we need to really tease that out, Brandon. I know a lot of you all are finished with Brandon. I'm done with him as well. I feel like he's danced around the mulberry bush so much that, you know what, dude, just go on somewhere at this point in the game, because you're not going to do what's right and do what is necessary to actually put your friend in the spotlight and tell her that she's wrong. You can do it in private, but that doesn't resolve the issue, because what she's done has been demonic and spiritually demonic in public. She's not doing this in private. She's doing this in public. So I disagree with Brandon wholeheartedly here, but I do think that by him saying things like it's spiritual, it's demonic, it's blah, 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 you need to really define these terms now, because I don't believe that we're using the same terms. I don't think they mean exactly what you think they mean. Let's go.
People. And I met dirtbag Jewish people. Just like I've met good black and dirtbag black. I mean, everybody come in different shapes, form, and fashions, and everybody got problems. Unless you sleeping under a rock, everybody got issues. But I don't understand why it's exacerbated when it comes to Jewish people. It's like if a Jewish person does something wrong, every Jew is represented by this one person. The Jews. That's how they say. They go, the Jews did this. No, it's just
and their eyes are like this wide. Actually,
yeah, it's the Jews. And then if Israel does something that people may disagree with, they are taking over the world. They're taking over America. They're the seed of demonic spirits or something. It's like, but no other country gets treated like that. Not even the one we live on. And we do a lot of crazy stuff. And hey, I love my country. So we do crazy stuff. So what? It's like that family member that's crazy. I could talk about, but you better not talk about it. So when you're an American, you could talk about how bad America is, but nobody else better say nothing.
That's actually part of the problem. That's not a noble quality to say that, you know what, you can't chastise my family member because they're my family member. That's actually the problem. And we see this at the micro level in the black community. That's the problem with the black community. We won't say anything, and God have mercy on your soul if you say something about this issue. So that's not a badge of honor, Brandon. Maybe I don't see it. And maybe somebody else does see it, and they're calling balls and strikes, and they're calling exactly what the problem is. And Brandon, that's not a bad thing for somebody outside of you to say, hey, you know what? You're doing this wrong. Or, hey, you know what? You're missing the mark here, and explaining it to me or to a family member or whatever. That's why you're in the position that you're in now. You're in the trick bag as it relates to Candace Owens, because you refuse to call her out and you deny people that call her out. That's the problem, Brandon. Shout out to, again, this is the Rachel Lee, I believe, show. I'll drop the link in the chat if the mods can drop it in there as well. Let's finish up.
About my country. And, you know, that's the way I feel about it. And the same thing with Israel. It's like, well, they may do things that are not 100% kosher, for lack of better terms. They may not do everything right. Welcome to the reality of countries. But are they acting in poor faith? Are they committing a real genocide? Are they doing nefarious things? Like that, that's my evaluation point.
Yeah.
And the fact that these people aren't given a fair evaluation is where they lose me on. They lose me when they call it a genocide, when Israel is literally feeding people and supplying water and medical. They give medical treatment to these people. They don't want to talk about it, but they give medical treatment to the people. They fly right outside of Gaza, or they traveling right outside of Gaza. These children are getting treated at little pop-up hospitals. I've seen them. I've heard people talk about them. You know, they're giving leaflets. They tell them when they're going to bomb places. When in the history of warfare have that ever been the case? Never. It has never happened. Their combatant to civilian ratio is better than any war that America has ever been a part of. So why is such vitriol? Why such cancellation and hatred? And it's spiritual, in my opinion.
Well, it absolutely is spiritual. And this segues into that next question I was going to ask you. You're a Christian, right? You're a devout Christian. This is something that I feel very confused about, because I never want to walk into someone's trap.
Okay, I gotta get myself ready. I can only imagine what she's about to say, and I'm only can imagine what Brandon Tatum's gonna say. As a oneness, a modalist, I can only imagine. Ooh, get myself ready. Here we go, Lord. Oh my gosh, I can only imagine.
These bad faith actors, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, people like like them, they're all Christian. I know I believe that Candace and Nick are Catholics, and I don't think that Tucker Carlson's a Catholic, but they're Christians. And
allegedly,
as a Jew, I've learned Jewish history my entire life. I'm a student of history. I'm kind of obsessed with Jewish history and history in general. And Christians and Jews don't have the most amazing history to our relationship in history. And that's not something people bring up anymore, because thank God we're so, we have such a great relationship now. We're like, brothers, sisters, cousins, whatever you want to call it. One of my neighbors is a Christian. One of my other neighbors is a Muslim. They're a Muslim family, and we all like take care of each other. We're nice to each other. We're civil. But so much of this hatred is coming in the name of Christianity. And I make some videos about this, and then Christians get angry about it. But I feel kind of stuck, because God forbid I no part of me hates Christianity or Christians, but it feels like this hatred is coming in the package of Christianity. Like, for example, Tucker keeps bringing up, he'll, accuse Israel of genocide and then accuse Jews of not knowing how to treat people in the image of God, right? Because they don't follow the New Testament. What in the hell is that? It just pisses me off so much. Yeah. And Nick Fuentes, he's, I was going to say he's even more extreme. I don't even know if he is more extreme, because Tucker, I believe that he platformed him because he agrees with him. It's that simple. He doesn't want to say it. Ben Shapiro had a great way. He's like laundering his ideas, but they're using a Christian basis and foundation to demonize Jews and Israel. And by the way, like you said, I could not care less if someone doesn't like the government in Israel or has a problem. There's no one cares. Most Jews I know are not in love with Bibi Netanyahu or the government. No one cares.
Okay, so I realized that my edit cut this off a little bit early. I just realized, oh no, it's a little bit cut off. So I actually don't know where the question was going. So we'll have to bring that back in. The full video, I'm going to make sure the link is down. The moderators have dropped it in the chat. I hate it, because I do think that she's just trying to be nice. Where we're right here. She's trying to be nice, but sadly, there needs to be some clear delineations, and there's going to be some areas that we're not going to be able to just rock with. There are going to be some real bona fide short areas that we're not going to be able to rock with, and that's just going to be it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no other way to make it better. We just disagree, and that's just what it is. And I hate that Brandon Tatum is not willing to do and what I think needs to be done, which is the hard thing of separating himself from Candace Owens. I realize they got a long history with Blexic and all that kind of stuff like that. I realize that she probably has some text messages that he probably doesn't want out. Maybe he needs to just go ahead and put them out there. Here's all my text message conversations with Candace Owens. Now, just put them out there. I don't know. Email, same thing. We know that's what she's going to do. She's going to weaponize his friendship, and that maybe that's what he's scared of. Maybe that's what he's worried about. But I cannot wrap my mind around the lyrical gymnastics that he does in order to try to justify what she's doing and trying to make it normalize and say, oh, well, it's just as bad as this person or just as bad. No, stop trying to compare. This is a classic case of whataboutism. Or what about Tucker? What about Nick Fuentes? What about this person? No, what about Candace? Stay right there on Candace. And we really truly don't have to make it about Israel. What she's going to be doing to TPUSA in a few minutes is going to be completely insane. And we don't really have to make it about Israel. It is about what TPUSA, and again, Brandon supports TPUSA. So what she's doing is undercutting what he supports. I mean, I don't know how to make that any more clear to him. And it's sad to watch, but again, I'm not really a big Brandon supporter, and I will be even less of a Brandon supporter now. So watching him do all of this lyrical gymnastics for her is kind of bad to watch. It's sad to watch because I'm not saying that he is going to be the catalyst of change per se, but I do think he needs to be a part of the change. The Lord is going to be the only one that changes Candace Owens' heart. That's it. The Lord is going to be the only one that does it. But I do think that being honest and saying, yo, yeah, Candace, you wilding out here. Sis, you wilding out. She can still be your sister, but she wilding out. I mean, there's no other way around that. And just call it what it is. So, shout out for sure. Thank y'all so much for jumping in. I do apologize. I realized the edit cut it short. Like, what in the world? So I'll fix that one before I make the video for sure. I want to say welcome to everybody who's jumped into the best and most electrifying live chat on the planet. What's up, Kim? How are you? Thank you. And welcome to becoming a new member. Welcome to you. Good to have you. Thank y'all, everybody who's jumped in. By the way, don't forget, yesterday we did not play Candispiracy Bingo. We didn't play Candy Rock Bingo. I let y'all down. So I've rectified my ways. I've seen the errors of my ways, and we're going to be playing it today. So please make sure you get your candy craziness. Make sure you get your Candy Rock Bingo board. Let me pull mine up very quickly. All right, here's mine real quick. Remove up. There we go. All right, I got patchwork theories. I'm just asking questions. Foya, Erica. It doesn't add up. Roll out, or rather call out, a random country. CIA. I won't share yet. I have messages. I feel. There's going to be a plot twist. We got lawyers. Got your free space. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Israel did it. I'm feeling comfortable that TPUSA is going to get called out. We're going to random person. I'm going to go with a random person. No, there are new words on the, I erased all of the words and redid them all. PSYOP is on there, I believe. It's just one of the, but literally, I think I added 20 new words to the list of, I don't know how many there were, quote me on this, was like 50. So I deleted all those and then added 50 new ones and plus 20. So there's a lot of words in there now. I don't like. Stay tuned tomorrow. Why isn't anyone talking about this? Common sense, betrayal. Oh, we know betrayal is going to come up. Random text message, controlled opposition. Do your own research, and she doxes someone. And by the way, I'm using dox in the effects of reading out somebody, giving out somebody's personal information to some degree, shape, or form, whether it be the phone number, their email, anything of that nature. That's what we're going to call doxing. All right. Lots of good conversation here. Who was that? I got a celebrity in here. Goth conservative. Who's goth conservative? Well, welcome. Welcome, goth conservative. Who art thou? You are a celebrity. I'm trying to find your name. Well, shout out to you. I don't see your name, but if you're here, shout out to you. You're a celebrity, I was told. All right, let's get this going. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. And Nathan Livingstone is still slated to come on at 6. So hopefully we'll be close to finished and we can have a conversation with Nathan. If he jumps in a little early, I'll bring him on and we'll just talk about, maybe we'll do a reaction to this in real time and then finish up me and his conversation after the fact. So that is the plan. That is the intention. Let me pull this up, make sure I'm ready for your girl. When she decides to hit that go button, we can go with her. Because we always start slow, Jason. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, the shenanigans. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I really would like to hear how Brandon Tatum attempts to square that peg and make it and make it not exactly what we're watching, a full-throated attack on TPUSA, Charlie Kirk's legacy. Thank you, Kim. What does she say here? Member for a month. My biggest gripe with Brandon Tatum is that he said he believed Charlie's death would bring unity. Excuse me, they publicly executed Jesus and there's division. Shout out for sure. I don't know what he meant by that. And I think we do ourselves a disservice by making more of, remember, please, I know this is going to hurt some people's feelings, so go ahead. Oh, by the way, candies, y'all make sure you get yourselves up here to the front of the church. We got room for y'all. Charlie Kirk was a good man. He did good things, but you do understand the best man is a man at best. Like, no matter what, we're still human beings. We're still sinners saved by grace. So even if we do phenomenal things, even if we do wonderful things to make the world a better place, God is using us to do those things. It's not us. It's not me. It's not you. It's by God's grace that we're allowed to work with him to do this thing, to be a conduit for his grace. But he would use anybody else. He could use me or he could use you. He chose to use Charlie, and there it is. So I think we need to be careful. And I don't know what Brandon meant by that, but I've heard other people, really elevating Charlie Kirk. Let's remember he's a human, just like you, just like me. And we have to keep that in the proper context of, you know what? Sure, he did some great things. Sure, but he's still a man. He's still a human. And to God be the glory that he chose to use Charlie. To God be the glory he chose to use your family member or whomever that you can think of. It's still God's grace that he uses humans to do the things that we do here for his glory and his honor and for the betterment of humans. So I think we have to be mindful of that. And, even with Candace and her attempt to tear down TPUSA, what's TPUSA when the smoke clears? It's just an avenue, a conduit that God has saw fit to do certain things through American history. That's it. If TPUSA went away, God would still be God. If Charlie Kirk had not been killed, Christ would still be Lord and reign over the affairs of man. So as long as, and I've said this before, as long as Christ is still ruling and reigning, I'm okay. Sure, we all want good things to happen. Sure, we want a lot of good things to go on in our lives. We want gas prices to get back on them, them academic probation levels. We want inflation down. We want more money in our paycheck. We want our kids to be, but you know what? If none of that stuff happened, is Christ still ruling and reigning? Okay, then the best thing is still going on. So that's just it. And I really don't want us to lose focus on this. Because again, that's why I laugh at this. I laugh at what Candace is doing because really it's kind of like Psalm 2. Why do the nations rage and the kings plot in vain? Hold on, let me pull that up. Maybe that'll be encouraging to you all. Shout out to everybody who's jumped into the most electrifying live chat on the planet. I'm gonna pull up that old English Standard Version. Y'all know how I feel about the ESV. I love the ESV version. I'm gonna use Bible Gateway. I don't really like Bible Gateway. We've broken up in our relationship, but I'll use it for today. All right. When I think of Candace, this is what I'm thinking about. And I'm gonna pull this in, and her show is about to start in a moment, but I'm just gonna bring this up. Why do the nations rage and the people plot in vain? The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us burst their bonds apart and cast away their cords. He who sits on the heavens laughs. The Lord holds them in derision. Then he will speak to them in his wrath and terrify them with his fury, saying, as for me, I've set my king on Zion, my holy hill. So I just wanted to leave that to y'all. Y'all can run with that wherever you want to go. But that's why I find Candace a little bit interesting, truth be told. I don't find her, there's nothing to worry about. If TPUSA loses every one of his donors tomorrow and the Lord sees fit that TPUSA still runs, guess what? They're going to find a way to run. If TPUSA loses every one of his donors and God doesn't want it to be, guess what? Or I'm sorry, keeps every one of their donors, please forgive me, and God doesn't want them to be, guess what? They won't. Let's go.
All right, you guys.
Green hearts in the chat.
Tuesday. I'm going to ask you a question. It's actually a riddle that we're all familiar with. What came first, the chicken or the egg? That's what's on my mind. That's what's on my mind really all day, because yesterday we were explaining to you guys this sort of random coincidence, maybe not a coincidence, of the FBI seemingly choosing to work in offices that are kind of being run by like French royalty in essence, right? These old.
What about the building? What about the building where your lawyers are working from? Never mind.
Old French American families. Now, why would our FBI do that? Surely
Why?
they would have been aware that they were choosing to work in buildings that might potentially have some foreign interests. But then you know what? It clicked. The chicken came before the egg. Of course, don't be ridiculous. That's the answer to the riddle. LOL to the American history that's taught to us in the public schools. the French helped to establish the United States. They came over and they helped us win our big independence from the big bad Brits. And then what? They just left us alone. It was just an act of charity. Like, we're good. We want nothing in return. We just want you guys to be free. Does that make sense to you? Come on. Turns out, actually, and you may have known this, maybe I'm just American ignorant, but our FBI was founded by the French.
Real quick, can somebody please keep track of how many different things she throws out today? We already got the French and the FBI. Just please keep track. I'm trying to do my bingo and this simultaneously. It's crazy work.
In theory, the FBI really is in France's building over in Wilmington, if you think about it, for a long time. And I have been thinking about this for a long time. So welcome back to Candace.
All right. She's been thinking about this for a long time, and she just thought about it yesterday. She literally just said, I came up with this yesterday, but I've been thinking about it for a long time. Y'all pray for this woman. Let's go.
I actually want to begin this episode with a comment from yesterday's episode because, we ran that poll wondering whether or not the public agreed with me about my lawsuit, me being filed by Brigitte Macron, me being sued by Brigitte and Emmanuel Macron, and whether or not it was just one big federal setup meant to bankrupt me.
Now we got the Macron lawsuit. By the way, you notice she no longer talks about the lawsuit being in the wrong jurisdiction. Notice that. She no longer talks about it. What is she trying to do? She's trying to muddy the waters that Delaware is corrupt to go from border to border, from top to bottom. She's trying to muddy the waters that all of Delaware is corrupt. So when she loses the lawsuit, well, there we go. They lost to the French. The French own Delaware. Of course, that's what happened. That's exactly what she's trying to do.
And here is an answer that we got in the comment section. Look at this. I believe that the purpose of Macron's lawsuit was that it was supposed to go nowhere because Candace was supposed to have been assassinated before the case got to court. Then they could forever claim that Candace was lying, which is evident by the fact that they were suing her for quote unquote defamation before someone had killed her. This was their plan, but I pray that it has now been foiled. I had never considered that, and that hit really deeply, and that is a dark thought. And I think now I'm wondering, I have a lot of questions. Everything feels different in this post-Charlie Kirk world. Where to begin? How about...
So she's running with that's a random text. If you just needed that, you got random text. That's just a random text that somebody just threw that out there, and now she's going to run with that as if that's the gospel truth. Why wouldn't the Macrons have put your head to bed well before this even hit the mainstream? Why wouldn't they have done that? Why would they even have introduced any of this stuff? If they could do all that she's going to say they're doing now, why didn't they just do this before they even approached you? Oh, you want to talk about Brigitte? Call up the number and make it happen. Why didn't they do that? See, this makes no sense. Okay, let's go.
We should talk about the founding of America because,
the founding of America
Catholic
is crazy.
That I was telling you about, they were unbelievably correct. I told you guys a long time ago how when I was considering whether or not I should be Orthodox or Catholic, but I knew that I was sort of done with Protestantism, I had been taking instruction from these priests in Europe and in the UK, and one of the fathers is a real bookworm, right?
This is
kind of this cantankerous Englishman.
Thank you so much, Terry51. Y'all put Terry51 in the chat. I was going to say that, and I meant to say when she said it, but I was like, I can't keep stopping. Thank you so much. The chicken came first because God created it. Notice she totally missed that. She totally did not even draw that conclusion. The riddle is that the chicken came first because God created it. She totally missed it. Y'all put Terry51 in the chat. You are a student. You get a gold star.
No time for the American education system whatsoever. And he said to me quite famously, you Americans know nothing of your own history. Your country was founded by Freemasons. And that just kind of permanently now echoes in my ear because boy, was he right. A war that had been sort of waging across Europe for centuries had then spilled into America. It was largely a spiritual war. It was really a theological war. That's what I'm starting to realize. That's why America never really had an appetite for Orthodox or Catholicism, because the Catholics and the Orthodox have kept history. They know what was going on in Europe, not the fake history that's packaged and sold to Americans. They know what the Freemasons were up to, Freemasons who caused all of those.
So what she's doing, and now we're on Freemasonry, by the way. So please keep track. I'm counting at least 5 so far in the first opening salvo. We're at 5 different pieces of information that you have to hold into your mental bank. But what she's doing now is she's attempting to sully the understanding of the founding of America as being something nefarious. And it was founded by, these evil, wicked, Freemason French people. That's why America's terrible. But Europe, and they kept the history. So this is where she's going. And let me know if I'm wrong. Shout out in the chat.
Revolutions against really the Christian empire across Europe. The idea really, I now think, is keep Americans fat and dumb and drugged and propagandized, right? And then when we need to, use their men to mass murder other Christians overseas. That's the big picture that I'm beginning to see. All of this to say, did you know that our FBI was founded by Charles Joseph Bonaparte? I had no idea. I hate to be American ignorant, but I had no idea. And yes, that man was the founder. And yes, that is like Napoleon Bonaparte. His grandfather, Charles's grandfather, was Napoleon Bonaparte's brother.
That's a random person.
Was his great uncle. Napoleon Bonaparte was his great uncle, which makes it kind of hilarious, right? Because our tip yesterday from that person in Wilmington, Delaware, was asserting that the FBI had these offices, these kind of hidden offices, maybe kind of in buildings that appear to be in part controlled by French American families who might have some conflicted interests. Particularly, we were discussing the DuPont family, right? Mentioning the DuPont family led to...
This is an interesting question. Shout out to you, MBV. The reason she's not going to do that is she's deluging you with information. She's thrown out Napoleon Bonaparte's grandfather, buildings owned by the French Masons. This is how the U.S. was formed, blah, 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 blah. I got a tip. She's throwing all this stuff out. I'm counting 8 right now. I'm on the 8th thing that she's thrown out so far. And by the time she throws out TPUSA, your brain is going to be exhausted. Your brain is going to be like, what in the world? Okay, whatever. It sounds terrible. Burn TPUSA down. Let me get my pitchfork and my torches. That's all she's doing. So she's building the case by slowly burning down everything else and deluging you with too much information. That's why she hasn't come out the gate with anything about TPUSA. Let's go.
To a flurry of tips coming out of Delaware. It was incredible. People in Wilmington saying, they own kind of everything, like everything, hospitals, schools, buildings, you name it, it is theirs. And then we received some more tips from people who were invested in sort of the urban legends of the DuPont family. They were telling us, hey, I went to school with DuPonts. Like, there's a lot of stories there. And these stories sound a lot like what you were covering in your Becoming Brigitte series. You remember actually right before we had been sort of interrupted in Becoming Brigitte series 2, season 2, we were speaking about Eric Dupont Moretti, and we were speaking about how he was kind of known, made a name for himself, making an argument for happy incest. Yeah. People were telling us like, hey, this DuPont family, there's a lot going on there. And they've also maybe been involved in some murders. Again, this was DuPont folklore, if you will. But then more emails came in, and you know what? It's not entirely folklore. Okay.
How many of y'all believe that there were tons of emails coming in literally since the last time she did the stream, and that's what she's referring to? Really? Tons of emails? Really? All talking about DuPont, all from yesterday's ramblings about who owned this street and who owned this old bank building. Okay. Yeah, this is a valid question. What in the world? I mean, I would suggest that you hide your bunnies, because this is bunny boiling level of crazy. Let's go.
It's really just not. This is actually an article that appeared in Vanity Fair, so let's read it together. And I'm going to issue a trigger warning right at the top because it is disturbing. Today's episode in general, I should say, is not for the faint of heart. Here's the headline. DuPont heir gets no prison time for raping 3-year-old daughter. Okay. And the person who emailed this over said, this has actually kind of lived in me for over a decade because I was so disturbed by the story, and you should read this. And it tells us that Robert Richards IV was in 2009 convicted of raping his 3-year-old daughter 7 years after she, who was just 5, told relatives that she didn't want her father to be touching her anymore. Then it says, in an alarming twist, the judge who sentenced the heir to the DuPont fortune let him off with no jail time, arguing that the 6'4" Richards will not fare well in prison. That was the argument that the lawyer made, and the courts in Delaware found that to be valid. So instead of sentencing him for prison for raping a toddler, it goes on and tells us that Judge Jan Jordan ruled that Richards would benefit from treatment instead. Critics have since noted that such treatment is usually offered only to drug addicts or those in possession of child pornography, not convicted rapists. And the details of the case became public this month when Richards' ex-wife sued him for damages related to the abuse of their daughter. Here is how the News Journal describes the convicted rapist in this case. Quote, Richards, who is unemployed and supported by a trust fund, owns a 5,800 square foot mansion in Greenville that he bought for $1.8 million in 2005. He also lists a home in the exclusive North Shores neighborhood near Rehoboth Beach, according to the state's sex abuse registry. Tells us that his great-grandfather is the DuPont family patriarch, Irénée DuPont, and his father is Robert H. Richards, a retired partner in the Richards, Lawton, Layton, and Finger law firm. Now, I already know what you're going to say. Hey, Candace, is that the law firm that's filing the paperwork for you? And the answer to that is yes. And I did not know that, no, until literally yesterday.
So now I'm going to back that up so y'all hear that. So what she does is she just puts out so much information. And of course, everybody knows that what that man did to that daughter was completely deplorable. And you're probably like really bristling about it. So now she's going to throw in some new information. And she's going to, oh, by the way, these are the lawyers that are filing my case, by the way. But, you know, this guy is terrible and he did this to his daughter. So shout out to Candace. She's adorable.
The law firm that's filing the paperwork for you. And the answer to that is yes. And I did not know that, no, until literally yesterday.
Why don't you know about your lawyers? Why is that not the most important thing on your plate? I'm being sued by a country. I need to know everything and everyone that's related to solving this case or defending me against an entire country. Maybe I should look into who it is that's helping defend me against a country. Like, we're not talking about against the boys and girls in the hood. We're talking about an entire hood. Good gracious.
Richards didn't sound to me like DuPont, so I had not put 2 and 2 together. As I was doing this episode talking about the DuPont family, I hadn't realized that the people that are filing paperwork for me, or rather the founder of that firm, the founding partner of that firm, who's since retired, is DuPont. It's the DuPont.
Well, ma'am,
because as the people in Delaware,
thank you for telling us, but ma'am, now you are suspect and all your attorneys are suspect because that's the way you do it. You do the stink poop theory. If somebody's got stink, then everybody's stinky. Then ma'am, we got to look at you suspect. We got to look at your lawyers. They're Frankists. They're Freemasons. We want to know how much they paid for their car. We want to know what was their 3rd grade spelling test. Did they pay their final book fees when they graduated from high school? We need to know all of that stuff, ma'am, because we think that your lawyers are dirty. Ma'am, this is insanity.
we're telling us everything is DuPont. The Vanity Fair article continues. The heir to the DuPont chemical fortune, and to be clear, that is what they specialize in, chemicals that are used in war. We're going to get more into that later.
The chemicals that are used to process your hair. You do know that DuPont makes hair relaxer too, right? Okay, so the same chemicals that are used to process your hair, that are used in your fingernail polish, that green fingernail polish, Candace, that are used to make the makeup, they do that. Ma'am, you are being drugged. We now think that's the case. We're going to say it, and you have to prove us wrong.
Admitted to sexually assaulting his infant
What
son.
does this got to do with
He's
Charlie?
initially charged with 2 counts of second-degree child rape, which would have carried a mandatory 20-year prison term if convicted. Richards, again accused of raping 2 of his own children, was instead released on a $60,000 bail and eventually copped a plea deal that involved him admitting that he had abused his children, but received that lesser charge of 4th-degree rape. Okay.
That's horrible.
Now, the article goes on to tell us that this is hardly the first time that the DuPont family has found itself the focus of unsavory headlines. John DuPont shot Olympic wrestler David Schultz dead in the driveway of the family's mansion in 1996. 2 years later, the decomposing body of a Las Vegas prostitute was found stuffed in the air conditioner of a seedy motel. She was killed by 3 hired hands. As Dominic Dunn reported in Vanity Fair, the money traced back to the DuPont family. It appeared that Lisa Dean, who is a DuPont, didn't approve of her drug-addicted son dating a drug-addicted Vegas sex worker, so she and her husband, Christopher Mosley, had her killed. Both John DuPont and Mosley died in prison. Okay, great, cool. France in the story. We've got an alleged murder for hire. I guess not an alleged murder. It's not alleged. It's just murder for hire.
What does this got to do with
incest.
anything?
We've got Jeffrey Epstein's ties to France. I'm just kind of noticing a theme here, if you will. A theme here that makes me a little bit uncomfortable. Are you feeling uncomfortable? Because you should be feeling uncomfortable, especially if you're me, okay? And
You know what? I Yo, in the chat, if you feel some kind of way, if you too feel some kind of way, if you're feeling something, if you could put me green hearts in the chat if you feel some kind of way. Green hearts in the chat if you feel some kind of way. All right? Just green hearts in the chat if you feel some kind of way. I don't take this seriously, by the way. And people, real quick, if you're new to the channel, shout out to the best live chat on the internet. Candace Owens is a clown. This is comedy. Candace Owens is making it her mission that everybody has 6-pack abs come 2026 because we're just laughing at her. We don't take this seriously. We don't. This is just clownery. So if you're offended by this, then I'm going to just apologize up front. You're going to be offended because all I'm going to do is laugh and make fun of her because she's ridiculous. And by the way, if you feel, shout out to everybody who feels some kind of way. You can have Israel did it. If you have that on your bullet, on your game board, you can have Israel did it. And she did say lawyers. Okay, she did say lawyers. I'm going to get blackout bingo. I'm going to get it. You know what? You can go ahead and preemptively have, I'm just asking questions. If you feel some kind of way, if you're feeling some kind of way, you can do that. Use those feelings in that type of way. Oh my gosh, what is wrong with that face? Oh, she's feeling something. All right. I feel like the bloop bloop. This might be some Taco Tuesday right there. Ooh, that's a bad quesadilla she feeling. Lord have mercy. We got to get this game going. Let's go.
You find out, really, by the grace of God, that there was this plot to murder me.
There was not a plot to murder you.
I'm just not liking all of this coincidence. It's starting to feel like a conspiracy, if I'm being honest with you.
I don't
Let's get back to our map now because it's getting a little squishy in Wilmington, Delaware. I'm feeling claustrophobic in Wilmington, Delaware, and I've never even been there. Okay, so here's our block.
I've been there.
We've got a couple of blocks here.
Oh my gosh.
Told you yesterday, we've got this FBI suite in this building that's actually owned by the Wilmington Trust at 500 Delaware Avenue. We've got Brigitte Lawyers at 919 North Market Street. Also in that building happens to be Stacey Sheridan's registered agent. That's Stacey Sheridan of Turning Point USA. We're going to talk about her in a second. We've got the Wilmington Trust actual location, which is at 1100 North Market. We told you about this red crane at 1100 North King Street, and that's Brace Bridge Complex.
The crane. I don't think I put the crane on the bingo man. This chick is serious, y'all. I'm right there with you. Hey, down cooking. Look for me. I'm the guy running around with the maroon assassin sweatshirt on. I'm waving you down. Follow me. I'll lead you to safety. Look, we're all lost. What the heck? A red crane has entered the chat. Y'all put red crane in the chat. I forgot to put it on the bingo board. Oh, man, we need to have a bingo board of just color words. We got red crane, yellow plane, blue plane. Candace people told me they hate that I laugh at this stuff. Oh, my gosh. I am so sorry to the Candace people because I'm going to laugh at this more. Oh, my word.
Which is supposed to house
Red
Insight
Crane
headquarters, and they've got a
Candy
French CEO.
Crane is crazy.
It's just a lot happening here. And again, now having a registered agent in Delaware isn't, you have an LLC, you're supposed to have a registered agent, and people tend to choose between Wyoming and Delaware, sometimes Las Vegas to form their own corporations. But wow, what are the chances that Stacey Sheridan has a registered agent that's in that building too? Because I have LLCs and I've got LLCs in Delaware, and I'm not even in Wilmington. There's a lot to choose from. It's a whole state.
But you have your LLC is in the building too. Like, don't act like, and I'm gonna back this up. I know I don't like doing this. I don't like doing this, but I want you to watch her. She's gonna she knows she's about to lie. Watch this.
Between Wyoming and Delaware,
Big
sometimes Las Vegas to form their own corporations. But wow, what are the chances that Stacey Sheridan has a registered agent that's in that building too? Because I have LLCs and I've got LLCs in Delaware, and I'm not even in Wilmington. There's a lot to choose from. It's a whole state.
But
Stacey Sheridan's registered agent is there too.
Why is it funny that your lawyers are in the same building though? Okay, we're gonna make it through here tonight.
By the way, and she had a few LLCs which she was getting paid through. It could all be above board. I don't really know, but the one I'm speaking about is Cloverstone Ventures. Stacey, by the way, is the Senior Advancement Director at Turning Point USA. She was brought in specifically by Tyler Boyer to raise money and to take Turning Point to the next level. And regarding Tyler Boyer, now we could say maybe a couple of weeks ago that he's a criminal, but actually Donald Trump pardoned him. He pardoned Tyler Boyer a couple of weeks ago, so we can't, that's actually not real. He's been pardoned. But he is always up to no good, I can tell you that. And he brings in this Stacey Sheridan. I got to tell you, I did not like her at all. Just the vibe was off. I did not like her, and I expressed that to Charlie to his face when she was hired. That's when I kind of notoriously said to him, you can't go down this path with money, okay? Because people that want to raise money and you bring people over with the incentive of just wanting a lot of money, you can run into trouble that way. Which is why I didn't feel great about the fact that she was so involved after Charlie's assassination. Stacey Sheridan is the one that was filming. Everyone was like, who's filming his casket as it's being escorted off of Air Force Two?
So apparently, I don't even know what to do anymore. We're just talking. I mean, we got vibes, we got feelings. You know, let's get all the feeling words off the bingo board. It doesn't add up. I'm gonna take that one. She called out. She doxed the DuPont people, so there's that. I think Maps is on there now. Let's see. Stay tuned. Why is anybody talking about this? Common Sense has not entered the chat yet. Common Sense has not entered the chat. You know what? She has not said CIA, so we're gonna take CIA. All right, let's go. This game is ridiculous.
Two, crying, holding that Stacey. Like I said, I just felt spiritually that Charlie hiring her was a mistake. She didn't pass my vibe check. Suddenly she's everywhere. She's eulogizing Charlie Kirk on stage. She is capturing intimate photos of his casket. She's then at the White House shedding tears over this fake holiday that's been created, when I just want to solve actually who did this. And the whole thing was making my skin crawl, if I'm being honest. Her involvement specifically made my skin crawl, and I want to say that openly and honestly, okay? But she's there, and she's there in this squishy block. In this one block, we are all just chilling Wilmington, right? And we would have never gotten to this block, by the way, had it not been for the Egyptian planes, us simply tracking these Egyptian planes and somebody giving us a tip like, hey, kind of weird that's flying through Wilmington. And we go, aha, lights on. And here we are, right? We learn about this French and Israeli Ace Partners being the second largest shareholder of Satis. They decide to lease out this hangar. We learn that that requires federal approval because it sits on federal airways. And maybe that means it requires French approval. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know anything at this point except everything stinks to high heaven. And so I started asking myself, what do we all have in common? Why are we all just chilling in Delaware?
Is anybody keeping track of how many scenarios she's thrown out? I was at 11, but I feel like I fell asleep or something. So, like, what number are we on right now? Because I had 11 before the whole bringing up the map. So I guess we could say like 12. We're somewhere around 13, 14. So she's thrown out 14 different pieces of information for you to process. And your brain at this point is probably like saying, time out, coach. Take me out the game, coach. You know, can I take a break? So now she's going to transition into besmirching TPUSA. And here we go. Because she done thrown out everything but the kitchen sink.
That's what I'm trying to ascertain. What are we all doing over here near King Street? Who is the king? Right? Do we have some shared interest?
Jesus Christ.
I haven't seen through yet. And now would be the appropriate time for us to get back into that timeline because there is an important question that we forgot to ask. So let's jump into our timeline, beginning with the inflection point, which was that Tucker Carlson speech. Now, I want to say this on that July 11th when Tucker Carlson gave that speech. I did, and I hope I'm not betraying anything too private here, but I asked Tucker about that speech. I was like, what inspired you? I went back and watched it, and he's going hard, and he's talking about where's all this money coming from, and is this even a meritocracy? Like, why are people that are not impressive billionaires? What's happening in this country? I asked Tucker, what made you say that? And he said, I had no plan to say it. It just came out of my mouth. It was just inspired. It just came out of my mouth when I hit the stage. There was no plan. Charlie said goes Max, and that is what Tucker
Go
riffs.
Max.
And I do think that was a part of, there was something spiritual that moved him to say that. I will say that. Anyway, so that's July 11th. Tucker Carlson speaks at Turning Point USA's conference, and the donors freak out. Calls out Jeffrey Epstein. He says that people who serve in foreign armies should be stripped of their citizenship. He muses about Bill Ackman's wealth and where it comes from. We are told, even though we have not been able to confirm this with a shred of evidence, that it was 7 days later that the request came from to Turning Point USA from UVU's chapter, for Charlie to have this event. That's very late in the day already, but again, we see no proof of this.
It's funny. Notice now she's actually admitting that she doesn't have proof. Because the interweb has been so vicious on calling her out that she's now starting to recognize that she'll say that she doesn't have proof on something. Now, mind you, why would it even matter? Because a lot of this is a nonsensical foolishness and jibber jabber, but that's why she's doing this. Let's go.
We do know that right after that, our Egyptian yellow plane flies to Lincoln, Nebraska.
Nobody
and 2 days
cares.
later, it is announced in Nebraska that they're going to be doing a trade and investment trip with Egypt. There was some private off-record meeting that took place to make this come to fruition. And there were international professionals that were there per the media. But who were these professionals that met with Secretary of State Bob Evnen? Why is this meeting somehow off record? And when people, and they have done that, have requested information, they say, oh, there's nothing that's public that we can share with you. Thank you to, by the way, the citizens of Nebraska who did that. I received your emails, even if I was not able to respond. Anyways, then it departs Nebraska, our yellow planes, and it heads to Wilmington, and then it goes back to Cairo. We then know that in this same time...
It's funny to watch her try to make this sound important. It really does sound like your child trying to explain to you about how her Barbie doll and the Lego creation that she made really does matter. It is really interesting to watch because she knows this is nonsense. This is total nonsense. But continue.
Frame-ish is when Charlie vacations up to Maine for a couple of weeks to be with his family, goes off radar. We've got Mikey McCoy and his wife, Eliza, that join them for the first time they're doing this joint family vacation, and Mikey's capturing these last videos that are going to warm our hearts about Charlie. And he's like, amazing. That's just how he is. And on July 25th, Charlie speaks in Westchester, New York. At the end of July, this is a new little update for you. Y-Refi comes in as the #1 sponsor of the Charlie Kirk Fall Tour. So this is end of July, early August. And I'm wondering why they did that then, because that's pretty late in the day. You remember, this was something they freaked out about when I said, hey, this is not how Turning Point events are come together. They're not instant.
Any correction of her is always a freak out. Because somebody does something that, and she has not been with Turning Point for 7 years at this point. So anything that they do is always a freak out. It's always, this is not how we do it. Ma'am, a lot changes in 7 years. I mean, I hope that's not revelation knowledge and something that I need to tell a whole human, but things change. Like, that's crazy work, but let us continue.
Actually, in the history of me speaking on college campuses and having headlined these tours, they are planning them at least a semester ahead. And then it was like mass panic. I got like Lila Rose and Ali Stuckey, who have never headlined their tour, suddenly saying, that's not true. That's not true. What are you talking about? And I'm like, I'm talking about I worked there. So I know exactly what I'm talking about. And that was a weird thing.
So shout out to anybody who said that Candace did not work at TPUSA. A lot of people were trying to correct me saying she didn't work there. No, she actually did work there. She did work for TPUSA. So this is some wild work. This is some wild work, y'all. But I'm going to keep it going because I do want to make sure I know Nathan's coming soon. Let's go.
Debunk. And I'm wondering, why was this put together so late in the day? And I am musing here, but I'm wondering if Y-Refi, after Charlie lost millions of dollars, said, hey, you can make that up by going on tour. You know, like we are willing to do this. And maybe Charlie actually wasn't planning on going on tour at all. And this tour actually came together very quickly. I'm musing on that. I'm not introducing that as a fact. I'm introducing that as a question. Anyways, back to our timeline. Y-Refi
I'm asking
is
questions.
going big, and they are going to be the main sponsor of this fall tour. And
do plot
that's how that
twists.
came together. Then we know that in very early August, Turning Point was scouting that location and that event, and they specifically requested for Charlie to be in that amphitheater. Now, apparently Charlie had done, according to some insiders, had loved an event that he had done in an amphitheater environment in Nashville. But I don't know if he said, I only want to do that going forward. But I do know that Turning Point USA insisted upon that. The person that was orchestrating that event, Macy Crofts, was saying, look, this is what Charlie wants. And that could be true.
So it's funny. I think because she's getting so much pushback, she's starting to change her language and really couch her language in a much more, for lack of a better term, much more safe, instead of just saying outright they're lying and such of that nature. Because she hasn't said anybody's lying yet, which I find very interesting. I wonder why that is.
August 2nd is when we have our French Legionnaires arriving in America for a 3-week training session in California, which is going to end on the 25th. And then a couple of days later, we have that Hamptons retreat, which Charlie Kirk himself described as an intervention, as an Israel intervention. And influencers who were there said that he was being pressed on his shifting viewpoints on Israel. And we know that the influencers were paid for by Bill Ackman.
That's interesting because nobody has said that. There's not one person who has said that. Find me an influencer that was at the Hampton trip that said he was being pressed, saying what Candace said. There's not one, because it didn't happen like that. And she's not being honest. She's just, when she's corrected, even though she knows what she said is wrong, she will not correct it and change it. She'll just restate it again.
I don't think that that's particularly a big deal. Obviously, he has interests and was potentially coming on as a donor for Turning Point USA. We have what I do think is a big deal, which is Bibi Netanyahu calling Charlie and offering to take Turning Point to the next level. And that, my friends, is the billion-dollar question, maybe the trillion-dollar question. In exchange for what? Have we considered that? This man is fighting like a 20-front war, and he calls Charlie Kirk and asks, you know, do you want to come to Israel? We can take Turning Point to the next level. In exchange for what and through who? Because I'm going to guess that Bibi Netanyahu is not just going to write a check signed by Bibi Netanyahu and just do that as an act of charity. In exchange for what? What's he going to take Turning Point to a next level? This is something that nobody has denied took place. No one has denied that this took place. And Charlie...
But you know what? There is a ton of things that nobody has denied. You know why? Because you're a crazy person. Nobody denies and argues with a crazy person standing down at the bus stop, yelling at pigeons. Nobody cares what they're talking about. Candace, you are the crazy person. We just tune in to watch and have a good laugh. That's it. We don't actually take you seriously. I hope you don't take this as, you know, an endorsement. Man, we're laughing at you. The whole town's laughing at you. Cue in Teddy Pendergrass. The whole town's laughing at you.
Declined. Charlie declined that offer. So what that signals to me is
what does it signal
that Charlie then had information
about
maybe how they move money, right? Without registering for FARA. I don't know. I think that's a big question that needs to be asked. Let's keep going onto this timeline.
Yeah, the timeline is dope.
Charlie says no, and almost immediately, 10 days later, we got our next point is that our planes come back out and they're flying to Lincoln again. They're going to Omaha. They're going to Wilmington. They stay for one night. Charlie speaks in South Carolina. We have our yellow planes then returning
Yellow plane
on the 24th, again, always through Wilmington to Egypt. We then have our French Legionnaires have completed their training, and on August 24th, 27th, Operation Valhalla takes place between civilians and military men in Minnesota at Camp Ripley. Then we have the first public sign that went out on August 27th. August 27th, that is so late in the day to begin promoting an event. TPUSA, UVU, and a local BYU chapter share a graphic announcing that Charlie is coming to UVU, but there are no location details mentioned on that graphic, so still not full details, but at least the first announcement goes out. On the 29th, we have Operation Bright Star, which commences, that joint operation that we told you about, which is biennial between Egypt and the United States military and other countries that are coming to.
At this point, I think, is it fair to say, y'all, can we all agree that we are definitely north of 15 pieces of data that she throws out? And we're not even at the first ad read yet. So we're not even done. We're not even close to being finished. And she's already thrown out 15. I dare say probably 20. I've lost count. I gave up at 13. So we are definitely north of 15, probably closer to 20. Can we all agree?
Together, and it is being reported that it is going to run through to September 10th. On September 2nd, Charlie sends out the email asking for a DOJ audit of his company, and he announces that Justin Strife is going to be the new COO, taking over for Tyler Boyer, who was the COO. And then we have the first known public going out in local media that Charlie's coming to town and that it is going to take place in the courtyard. That's on September 2nd, okay? On September 4th, our planes come in and we know what happens next. Charlie is in Korea for a couple of days. He comes back on September 10th and he gets assassinated. And that also happens to be the same day that Operation Bright Star, that Cairo joint operation formally ends. Okay, so that timeline makes me uncomfortable, okay? It makes me very uncomfortable, and I'm wondering if...
Y'all, please put green hearts in the chat for Candace and her uncomfortableness. Baby, I think you're uncomfortable because whatever you had for Taco Tuesday made you make that face. I think that's what it is. I think that's what you're uncomfortable with. This is craziness, y'all. This is madness.
Charlie put together the Doge account, and I want to be clear, this part is speculation because something that he
Everything
maybe
is speculation.
learned when BB asked to take it to the next level made him think maybe I should look through Turning Point's finances. Like, where is this money coming in from and where is it going? And I don't know that for a fact, but I think it's a fair question, a fair investigative question is what inspired Charlie to suddenly be concerned about not just where the money was going, but where the money was coming from. Was an offer made to him that he declined? Yes. What was that offer?
So should Charlie have said that we need a Doge review back in 2022? Could Charlie have said that they needed a Doge review in 2022? Can somebody answer that in the chat? Could he have said that in 2022? Serious question. Not trying to be funny. Could he have asked for a Doge review in 2021, 2019? Could he have asked for a Doge review of his company in those times? Could he have? Could he have? He could have? Are you sure? Are you sure about that? Every year. No. I'm saying Doge specifically. I'm saying the word Doge specifically. Not an audit because they already were doing audits. Not a deep dive because they're already doing that. What? There we go. Doge wasn't a thing. Doge is a fairly new thing. So him saying he wanted a Doge style audit it would make sense because it's the first time it ever came into the common lexicon. So for her to sit there and be like, oh, they wanted a Doge audit because of all this crazy. No, ma'am. No. You know what, Candace? You're making me sleepy. I can't with you. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to look at these supers. We're going to put Candace on pause. I know y'all want to see Candace, but we got to talk about what Vanessa with the $2 says this. She never puts two and two together. You know why? Because she can't add. She can't. Thank you for the $2 super. Thank you so much, Lo, with the 10 says this. I heard Candace is the son of Brigitte Macron. Prove her wrong. I love it. Lo, thank you so much, love. I appreciate it. And Vanessa comes back around with the 2. Does she know that Wilmington is not a state? I mean, she said the state of Wilmington. I don't know. I don't know what she knows at this point. I don't know what she knows. But I do know this, that Jay Lynn with that 10 says this. Charlie loved this woman. He had her move closer to help her after she lost her husband to a long bout of cancer. He loved her. And he's talking about Sheridan. But Candace doesn't know. Candace doesn't care about that. Candace does not care about the humanity of these people. She only cares about destroying TPUSA. That's going to be where I stand tonight. We'll see what happens. Thank you, Ruben, with the 10. He says this. Her LLC is, in fact, in Delaware. It's at 1013 Center Road. And I think that's interesting that she throws all the shade at Delaware, but ma'am, your LLC is in Delaware. And I think she's just trying to muddy the water. So when she loses that court case to the Macrons and they throw out her request for dismissal, she can blame it on them. Now, what do you say here, Phantom, with the 2? Candace Owens with Charlie Kirk for 2 years, BFFs. Sheridan with Charlie Kirk for 7 years is not. I agree. I like it. Thank you so much for the $2 super. Vanessa says this. I hear the peanuts adult when she speaks. I'm with you right there. But you know what? We got to give a shout out to Curtis. My goodness. Thank you, Curtis, for the $50 super. He says, finally caught alive. Well, my goodness. Well, welcome. We're going to make you the stream sponsor, by the way. Thank you so much for the very kind and very gracious $50 super. Thank you so much. Now, let's bring her back. We got to get this done, but I'm going to go ahead and get this stream sponsor in there. So let's do that.
For in exchange. And I want to say this, Charlie said no. So Charlie died with his soul intact. Died with his soul intact. He said no. He said no to a lot of money. But it was actually a tip that I received early on that pulled everything together for me in a really dark way. It was water cooler talk at Turning Point USA immediately after Charlie's assassination. A few people had signified and were speculating and thinking about things that were weird. And, you know, I told you we had so many people from Turning Point USA that were just venting in our tip box and telling us that they didn't like the way management was acting and things were weird and There were just a
Weird.
flurry of things that were coming in. And a few of them had signified that one of the things that was being whispered about that people thought was quite odd that they learned that happened on the day of Charlie's assassination was a rumor pertaining to Justin Strife. An oddly placed phone call that he made almost immediately, as they say. This is alleged. It wasn't on the phone call after Charlie was shot. And I will say allegedly because there's 6 people at Turning Point USA who have said this, that were talking about this. This rumor got passed around. They said that Justin had placed an immediate call to a donor prospect. And I said, that's weird, okay? I'd like to know more about that. Can everybody try to figure out what donor that was? Now, it's possible it could have just been a very close donor friend. Charlie had them. He did. There were some donors that he loved like family members. And so that was a potential long shot thing, but just interesting. I'd like to know who he was so close to that required an immediate call. Then it turns out that these ladies told me that this donor actually had a pretty big piece of bait on the hook for Turning Point USA. A piece of their billion-dollar company. They were anticipating some IPO, and that this was going to be life-changing money, okay? We're not talking like, oh, a check that's going to be reeled in for $5 million or $10 million or $50 million or like the $90 million that Turning Point USA raised in the first couple of weeks following Charlie's assassination. We are talking like billionaire money, potentially billions of dollars, and this was
Billions of dollars. Just stop and think what she's saying. Stop and think what she's saying. She's saying that Turning Point was about to get billions of dollars. She said billions. She just said it. So Turning Point was about to get billions of dollars. Now, just think about what she's saying. And it's kind of embarrassing because you're like, you do know that you made no sense, Candace, right? This is incredible. And people, and again, I want to know, like, if you're a Candy and you still rock with her, I need to know what is it that why are you still rocking with her? Now, you don't have to agree with me. You can disagree with me all day long. I don't care. You're still a part of the best live chat on the internet, and you're part of the 785 people that are checking this out. But what is she actually saying? They were about to get billions of dollars. Listen to that. They were happy to get 90 million. Now they're about to get billions. Just stop and think. Good gracious.
Is a very big secret. A huge secret.
But you know it.
Just a handful of people were allowed to even know about this, that this was happening.
A very big secret that is getting circulated around the water cooler. Okay. And she vetted this, y'all. Remember that. She vetted this. She's taking the time to go over this.
In fact, there's probably people that are watching this right now at Turning Point USA who work in donations. I think it's a pretty large department that have no idea, have never even heard of this, because that's how incredibly top-level secret this was, okay?
But it got to you.
People began to find out about this because of just an unfortunate conversation that had been left unattended to, okay? Why was it secret?
The fact that she knows this should tell you that I need to read. The fact that I heard this, I was given, the nuclear defense codes, makes me really skeptical that I actually have the nuclear defense codes, right? How did they get to me? So you just get some random. Just go, man. Just go.
To be so guarded. Why is this person getting a phone call?
Oh my gosh.
I wanted to know.
Yes, I want you to know.
And I start messaging our mommy sleuths and our daddy sleuths and all of my sources at Turning Point USA, and I'm saying anything that you can tell me about this in case this might be important. And I got an answer on the name of the donor, and I had completely forgotten because, again, this happened so early following the assassination. I am talking before I even went to Wyoming. My brain was still traumatized. I had so much information I was trying to process while I was grieving that I literally forgot the big part that I learned about this donor. I forgot. And these young women told me that this donor was French American
Y'all, stop. Stop.
and that this donor's name was.
Stop. That's it. I'm done. This chick done brought the French back up in here. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. We're calling out random country. If you need random country, you're welcome to have it. Can we all agree? Can we all agree that she's saying that they betrayed him? Is that fair? Is that fair? I think it's fair. Because she is tempting me to use naughty words, because I think Candace is controlled opposition to get me to start using profanity, I'm going to take control opposition off the board too. All right. And by the way, if you need FOIA, type FOIA in the chat and y'all can have it. If y'all just type FOIA, you're welcome to have it. If you need FOIA, go on and put FOIA. FOIA. I'm going to get FOIA up in here. Y'all, this is insanity. And I was wrong for stopping y'all right there too. I know that was crazy work. That was nasty work, y'all. Type FOIA in the chat if you need FOIA. You can have it. Stay tuned for the next episode. At least, okay, hopefully, hey, before we get too far afield, you should at least have at least one bingo. If you don't have one bingo, then we need to do the Lord's work and make sure that you got at least one bingo. At least one. Now, your boy over here got 1, 2, 3. I got 4 bingos. I'm trying to get blackout, and I'm going to cheat to do it. I'm going to do it. So if you need FOIA, I got FOIA. Let's go ahead. Let's finish up with this craziness. This is crazy.
Pierre. It wasn't until yesterday after we went off air that I presented to you all of this stuff about the DuPont family, that it clicked. And these ladies messaged me and said, "Oh, you figured it out. It's Pierre DuPont. Question mark, exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point." I had mentioned Pierre DuPont on yesterday's show, and this took my breath away. I will be honest, I cried really hard yesterday, thinking, my goodness, how could I have forgotten that this donor was French American, that was the big thing. And I was racking my brain trying to figure out that time, because I hadn't even considered France's involvement in anything. Like, who do I know that's French and has tons of money and is involved in technologies and could possibly be working on a big check that could be kept secret because it's about to IPO and billions are on the line. And it all kind of came together. And I would like an answer about this Pierre, the billionaire French-American donor. And I would like a clean answer as to whether or not it is Mr. Pierre DuPont. Yeah. Because this would be a devastatingly dark story. And my sources are very sure that this is what was on the line, that this was life-changing money. And they are very sure that this individual got a phone call after the assassination. And I think that we deserve to know. I don't think this should be a secret, right? Charity shouldn't be a secret. Why? And by the way, it leads to...
Why do you not have to show your proof of this being real? Why don't you have proof that these people actually told you this and you didn't just make this up out of whole cloth, or you concocted this story doing your own little cobbling together and just said, "Oh, I got a tip. Oh, I got an email." Why don't you have to show your proof, Candace? Why does anybody need to answer to you and tell you, "No, we didn't do this. No, I really didn't make this phone call. No, this wasn't happening." Like, why don't you have to do anything? But everybody else must. That's crazy work.
More questions like, how could you say that you knew that your IPO was going to lead to billions of dollars? How could you promise that? How could you promise that? And did Charlie know? Did Charlie know? And I'm going to be honest with you. I know a lot of billionaires, they don't part with their money like that. They don't part with their money and offer people pieces of their company, people that aren't even their family members. So why was that offer on the table? I have so many questions, and I'm going to ask them publicly. And I think that we demand answers. We should.
Well, you know what? I think I agree with Candace. I agree. I think Candace deserves those answers. I agree. I agree. Those answers should come right after Candace divulges all of her information. Notice she's not mentioned that assassination at all anymore. Do you realize she has not mentioned it? She mentioned it in the beginning, and she only said it in passing. Now it's everything else. So nothing about her own assassination attempt. You know why? Because that assassination attempt didn't happen. All of that is malarkey. Matter of fact, nowhere even on her timeline did she even reference anything related to them doing anything to her. She mentioned the French working with the U.S. and doing the Legionnaire and stuff like that, but that does not point to where she's talking about. Just saying.
All
Just
these
saying.
demanding answers, because this is now starting to feel very, very dark. It's too French, right? It's just too French. We just can't all be hanging out in Delaware.
But you do, though.
There's one more thing that came in.
One more thing.
Andrew Colbert, very close family friend of Andrew Colbert, had messaged me early on, and I, again, was not tracking any of this at the time, but they had said that they felt that Andrew Colbert was acting weird, and I'm sure that's not a big deal. I think we were all acting weird. Charlie Kirk was assassinated, but moreover, they had mentioned that specifically Andrew had told them that when Charlie said no to Bibi, he lost out on millions. Now, I'm going to say allegedly because this is a tip, but I have that tip in writing. I'm not lying to you.
Then show us.
And I thought to myself, that is so weird. How could the spokesperson at Turning Point USA be on how could they be gaining millions from that? What is the structure here of these contracts that even people that are in PR, people that are like running PR departments, are getting tips on the basis of donations? I don't know how this is working.
The fact that she's running with this, even though she has no clue whether or not this is true, this is wild work. And really, at the end of the day, this is what this is. All of this right now, because she really thought, she knows that the judge is not going to throw out the case against her. And she knows it's looking bad. So she's trying to pile on as much malarkey and as much foolishness as possible to weigh down this case and keep it from being effective. That's all she's trying to do. That's it. This doesn't even make sense.
But we need to figure out how this is working. I think it's really important that we learn the truth about what happened. Who's Pierre? Is it Pierre Dupont? And has Turning Point been paid? Obviously, it wouldn't be on this year's taxes. You're not going to find those on this year's taxes, but they would be on next year's. But we can ask now, and I'm asking now. And there's more I want to share. But we're going to take a brief break for sponsors.
More she wants to share.
I'll ask the question: what are you guys doing today to protect your tomorrow? Because it
she got more to share tomorrow. She got more to share. Woo! All right, what do y'all need? What do y'all need on the bingo board? Tell your boy what you need. Tell me what you need on the bingo board. Tell me what you need. What you need. Stay tuned. I think that's going to come toward the end. I'm going to save that one because I'm pretty sure it's going to come. She hasn't said do your research, which is great. You know what, though? I cannot believe she has not said Erica yet. I'm a little bit taken aback. I'm a little bit aghast. How is it that you have not said Erica? I'm going to take Erica because I think she means to say Erica. There, I just did it. Germany? You need Germany? You know Adidas are from Germany. Adidas and Puma. So therefore, you know what? And, I love the brand with 3 stripes. You can have Germany. Merry Christmas. Space Laser. That's not on there. I did not put Space Lasers on there. The bad thing is I'm like, did I do that? I don't remember doing that. I don't remember that. Let's get this back in here. Let's get this train back on course. Look at her face, man. She is mad. She knows none of this is hitting. She knows it. She knows nobody's keeping up with this. Nobody's following this. None of this. She knows it's crazy work. She knows it. Oh my gosh. Is Dolly? I think Dollywood is on there though. I think I put Dollywood on there. I thought. Yeah, I don't think there's no way you're gonna make me believe this woman is serious. This is a joke. It's muted.
Believe it or not, there are good guys. There are good guys everywhere.
Oh, there's
The
good
lightness
guys
is always
everywhere.
fighting darkness. And I received an interesting tip from a Fed that I'm going to share with you now that might be relevant. But
Fed.
Turning Point USA put in a personal request to try to get the Egyptian plane story killed, and I find that to be very interesting. What is it about these Egyptian planes that Turning Point USA didn't want them to be discussed? I don't know. But I am going to find out. I think we kind of have found out in a weird, really.
There is no way in the world you're going to get me to believe that this chick got a tip from the feds about the Egyptian plane. There's no way. And she's not going to show you any proof. Like, come on. Like, you can't say, okay, wait, let me go ahead and put all doubts to bed. Let me put all the doubts to bed.
Up way, actually. It makes my stomach turn. I'm going to miss Charlie. I really am going to.
What about
miss
your
Charlie.
husband?
And I think when Charlie was assassinated, there was something about it. I knew that this story was going to be dark. Instantly, I knew that Charlie was betrayed. They laughed at me.
Betrayal.
Oh, you had a dream. Charlie told you he was. Yeah, Charlie told me that he was betrayed. And
But Charlie didn't
part
tell
of
you
the
it was the
morning
French, though. Did Charlie tell you in French? That's what I'm wondering. Did he give it to you with subtitles? Did he say, I don't know how to say, they betrayed me in French? Did he say it that way? That's what I need to know. Were there like little subtitles running across the bottom? That's what I need to know. Because otherwise, I'm going to have to go with this. I had to go with this. Like, just go, Jason. Leave it alone.
And the grief that I was experiencing
Oh, I was so
was
grieved.
in large part due to my understanding that this was going to be missional for me. I think I knew deep down that this was going to be missional. And I kind of knew deep down that the whole world was going to be against me.
Laughing
Yes,
at
the
you.
whole dark apparatus was going to be against me, not the world. There are so many good people in the world that are the reason that I'm doing this and who understood instantly and felt instantly what I felt when this all happened. And I think it's sad because I was just reflecting on, I guess, really the last part of my youth, being ignorant and thinking that we lived in a country that was free and was fair and was a meritocracy, the excitement of me and Charlie in politics. Like, we were young bucks thinking that we were going to change the world because the MAGA movement offered us this opportunity to do it, right?
I'm telling you right now, she's going to roll up and say her and Charlie Kirk were bumping uglies. I'm telling y'all, she's going to eventually say she and Charlie Kirk made the beast with two backs. I know you don't like it. I know you might be mad about it, but eventually she's going to have to say that because nobody cares what she's talking about. It sounds insane. She's going to say it. I promise you.
Going to get Trump elected and we're going to get people to stop talking about racism and sexism and to understand like family is a priority. And I realize now, and I know Charlie realizes now, that we did not see the evil that was around us. And I'm going to miss that youth. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to miss that young experience. I'm going to miss Charlie going on dates and the girls they liked and me always being the wing woman and him asking. This text
Interesting.
is one of my favorite text messages between me and Charlie when he was getting ready to go on a date. And, he didn't date many people. And he was just kind of
so awkward.
in love with this girl. And he was asking me, should I wear this? And this is the text message. It's so sweet. He said, do I have to change this shirt? And I wrote back, yes, and throw it away if you can. Charlie. And he writes, okay. And he's wearing a Turning Point early shirt that somebody, I think, gave to him.
What? How disrespectful to his wife. This is some grade A. This is some crazy work right here, y'all. So she brings up him getting ready to go on a date. And she's trying to make it clear that it wasn't Erica. Y'all caught that, right? And we're probably on the 25th piece of evidence she's thrown out. So we're already there. So he's getting ready to go on a date. What's the purpose of talking about him going on a date? Pre-being married? That is some nasty work, y'all. That is so disrespectful. That's disrespectful to her own husband, if it mattered at all. This is some crazy stuff we're watching. All right, let's go.
Stitched on. Is it stitched on? Is it ironed on? I don't know. But I was like, Charlie, burn it. Obviously, burn that shirt.
Wow.
It makes me, yeah, it's the stuff that makes me cry and makes me sad because he just was so young. You know, Charlie was so young and he was such a good person. And I'm also going to miss the young conversations that you have when you're vibing with someone and you're speaking about things that you don't understand as you were coming up in politics.
Where's your conversation with him this year or last year, in the last 14 months? Where's that conversation? Because the argument, the conversation here is that you and Charlie weren't really that close of friends before he died. Where's that conversation? And where's that going back and forth? That's what we need.
I always felt like an alien. We would have these
That's
discussions
true.
with donors and we'd have discussions with people or people would do stuff. And I would just tell them all the time, Charlie, I'm an alien. I am new on this planet. I don't understand this. I don't understand double speak and, you know, contracts and people threatening to sue. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm an alien. And Charlie always said he felt like he was a time traveler. And this is a conversation. I would say, I'm an alien. I just messaged him from across the globe. And he said, I think I'm a time traveler. This is my home. He felt like Earth was his planet, but I think you found me and time traveled with me. Like the kind of friendship where you can talk about being a time traveler and feeling like an alien, as I've always felt like it, because I don't get it. I don't get the rules of this planet. I don't get the betrayal, the backstabbing, the people that dance for money. It's never made sense to me. From the time I was a kid, I just felt out of place. And I am out of place in politics. I will tell you that, because this is what it's all about, right? Selling your soul to the devil. And I don't want to do that. Anyways, that's just going a long way of me saying that I'm going to miss the ignorance of our political youth thinking.
All right, real quick. I don't even know what we're watching anymore. So I'm totally lost. I don't even get it anymore. If you need any word to bring about a bingo, if you have any word that you need to bring about a bingo, I now am going to give you that word no matter what it is. Just go ahead and give it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. I don't even know what we're doing anymore. I'm just giving up. Let's finish this up, Candace.
It could be fair, thinking that we could just work hard, thinking that we could run a company, that we could launch this revolution.
Who is we? They have.
Going to be happy in the future.
They have without you, Candace. That's the thing. Whoever said that she's really mad because she wasn't a part of TPUSA, you're 1,000% correct. You're right on the money. Ma'am, TPUSA is doing fine without you.
America was the land of the free. I had to mourn that. Now I realized, and as I have expressed, that this is missional. Charlie knew he was going to die young, but there was more that were in those now seemingly prophetic text messages that I was unwilling to share at that time. But I am going to share that now when he was speaking about his death and the visions that he was having in April of 2018. He also said some other things.
2018. I just want y'all to remember that. Nothing in 2024. Nothing in 23. 2018. That's her go-to. Okay. That's what makes sure.
That he was going to die. He didn't just say that turning point was going to be the death of him, but he also wrote this. This is on April 13th. He wrote this.
Okay. Now, why does this have a date on it? Somebody sent it to me before. Shout out. I forgot who it was. My brother from Puerto Rico sent that to me and explained this. Why does this have a date on it, but the other one did not? The other screenshot that she had, text message screenshot, didn't have a date. Is there a reason why? Let me know.
Tonight is what I have foreseen. This won't result in anything. I'll give you the context in a moment. But in our lifetime, we will experience real war beyond anything that we can fathom, absolute and total destruction. Now, for historical reference, what was going on that week involved, of course, France, right? America, France, Israel, the Middle East, Syria, Russia. And this is the Syria before Israel and the United States overthrew Assad. What was going on was the United States and France were carrying out a series of military strikes involving an aircraft and these ship-based missiles against multiple government sites in Syria. And the official reason that we were told was because the Syrian government had apparently chemically gassed their own citizens, something which Assad had strenuously denied. In effect, if Assad was telling the truth, and I believe he was, because I think there is a war on Christians that's happening, then the West and the United States were implicated in part by a false flag attack to justify a larger military justification. That's kind of something the West does a lot, right? False flag attack, get the media going, we have to respond, and then we just sort of take land. Yeah, that's what we do. Now, France had said in a statement on that morning on April 14th that France's red line had been crossed. So this was a story which Charlie said, this is not the thing that's coming, but this is a preview of the thing that's coming. Missiles, false flag attacks, chemicals, and the Middle East, America, France, and Israel. It is something. It is something, right? This was the vibe of something that Charlie felt was going to happen in the future. Something Charlie and I used to always say, I told you that, the rest is future. I think we are in the rest right now. We are approaching that future right now. And I didn't feel it then in 2018, but I feel it now. I've been telling you guys, I have been having a lot of dreams, and the dread that Charlie felt in 2018, I have been feeling. I felt it leading up to Charlie's assassination. I pulled my children out of school. I was having this dreams and visions about bees and organization that was happening in America. I have a sense of dread.
I cannot. Y'all, I'm sorry. I quit. I'm rage quitting. I told y'all I was never going to do it again, but I lied. I'm quitting. I'm done with Candace. I cannot do Candace at all. I quit. Y'all can have blackout bingo. It's over. I'm done. This chick is talking about dreams of bees, and she's saying it with a straight face. I can't do it. I can't anymore, y'all. I quit. I'm done. Have a great night. Take care. Oh, wait, hold on. I got something else for y'all. I got Nathan Livingstone in the building. What's happening, brother? How are you?
That was a smooth transition.
Hey, I'm working on my segue. My transitions are smoother than my head, okay? I'm working on that. Nathan, I need rescue. I need you to come from Australia, get over here and rescue me. I need help. What in the world is going on? I know you're just getting thrown into the mix, so I apologize, Nathan. Everybody, this is Nathan Livingstone from MilkBarTV. Real quick, tell us who you are, all that kind of good jazz, Nathan. And then please get to the airport and get over here and help me. I need help.
Yeah, I'm a Australian. I don't know. I'm on Twitter most prominently. You know, I don't know. I don't know where to start. I mean, short stories. I started making content on social media during COVID with Australia, with all the crazy stuff.
For sure.
Yeah. I lost my job because of vaccine mandates as a forklift driver.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I started making content. And then I kind of branched out from there, started covering Andrew Tate.
Gotcha.
And then it was through Andrew Tate that I started covering Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, and all these other kind of right-wing grifters.
And there we go. And now the rest of, as she said, the rest is all future. There we go. So shout out to it. Shout out to you. All right. Now you, of course, are in Australia, and I appreciate you, man, taking the time. I apologize. I checked my email on my phone, but apparently I didn't hit refresh because it was, I found it on my computer. I'm like, oh man, he was ready for me. So I apologize, but thank you so much. Okay. Nathan.
You're gonna have to catch me up because being in Australia, I always wake up and then I've got to catch up on just like the insanity, especially with Candace, the insanity.
Did you see yesterday's? I
saw the first half.
Let me tell you right now. Take yesterday's show, mix it with some black tar heroin.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of Breaking Bad, that blue meth that they had.
Yeah.
Okay. Light it on fire in a closed container, and that will give you the breadth of where we are today. This is insane, man. This is crazy work, Nathan. I'm like, what are we doing? She has thrown out so many theories today. We lost count at 15.
Okay,
Just,
you gotta catch.
just
I'm gonna post that I'm live with you. Catch
yeah,
me
for
up.
sure.
Give me some.
So,
Give me the rundown.
so yeah, absolutely. So France runs all of Delaware.
Of course.
So they own all the buildings, all the streets, the red cranes, the blue the blue planes, the yellow planes, all that. The DuPont family is deeply entrenched in everything. There was a DuPont member of the family that was involved in a lot of really nasty things with touching children and his own children. So of course she threw that in there. There were TPUSA was on the verge of getting billions of dollars from billions with a B and S billions from donors before Charlie passed away. I'm trying to think what other, I mean, it was actually insane. I actually stopped paying attention and I just started laughing about the thing because at one point it just didn't seem like, it seemed like the machinations of a crazy person. Like, but are you over there? You're getting it? Okay. So that was about, bees, planes. She has a lot of problems with the people at TPUSA. I'm trying to see what else. Bingo is communist. No, Bingo's not communist. Somehow or another, Napoleon Bonaparte's great uncle is involved in this, and the FBI was started by Bonaparte's great grandfather or something. Let me tell you, it was the craziest stuff, man.
Did you watch much Candace before Charlie Kirk?
Yes, I was on. I came to Candace Owens with the whole Brigitte Macron.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know this emphatically. I think my first video was around April of last year. And I just thought it was fascinating because I was like, wow, there's really not a lot of information. I'm sorry, there's really not a lot of proof and evidence. As one of the things I always ask people, hey, as a Christian, I'm okay with you challenging my thoughts. All I ask is that you convince me from the scriptures. Just show me in scripture that you shall not wear a maroon sweatshirt, and I'm okay. I'll get rid of all my maroon sweatshirts. I'm fine with that. Yeah. You shall not have a blue Stanley Cup. Okay, fine. If the scriptures say that, then fine. Otherwise, I'm not going to be convinced. And I just thought it was interesting. Like, wow, she's gotten away with a lot of non-evidence. Like, just a thought, just an argument. Like, I had this idea, and because I had this idea, I need Nathan Livingstone to prove that my idea is wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, for what?
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Well, no, because I wasn't following her that heavily until maybe, I don't know, earlier this year sometime. Gotcha. And so trying to catch up on all the Brigitte stuff, it's the amazing thing, right? Like continually whenever you challenge her on Brigitte, but it's really anything. This applies to all her stuff. You ask for the evidence. Her and her fans always respond with, you have to watch the whole 10 hours to understand. They can never point to like, here's this little bit of evidence here.
Right
there that you can then kind of like discuss. It's always, you got to watch the full season to be able to understand.
And that's a great point. I remember that happening a lot because I was challenged with that a lot. That I even put a video up and said, hey, if this video gets so many likes, I'll watch the whole Brigitte series as a live stream, as a watch party. And they just couldn't put it together. I'm like, because the evidence, I was like, what tangible evidence did she show that you're running with? And I mean, I read the entire 237 and then 250 page complaint. I literally read it on air. Yeah. But I didn't watch the Brigitte series. I'm like, but this is the complaint. This is the legal. This is the legal information. This is what they're going to share. They're not going to be talking about Chinese AI. They're not going to be talking about MK Ultra summer camps. They're going to be talking about this legal stuff. And I was like, where's the proof? So let me real quick, Nathan, because you might not have seen this. Yesterday.
Well, I just want to say, like, my point was that when you actually do watch the thing, it becomes even more clear how little there is.
Yeah.
So when you even do take the advice of like, you got to watch the whole thing, it falls apart.
So
very quickly.
You watched the whole thing?
I mean, I dipped in and out.
You were a saint. You were a
I
saint.
would see her referencing something, so then I jump back to see what she's referencing, and realize that she'd usually moved the goalpost or something. You know, I think that's the important thing, and you can apply the same thing to Brigitte Macron, to the Charlie Kirk investigation, to the Kamala Harris isn't black investigation. It's always the same, you know. So I think people are starting to realize through the Charlie Kirk stuff, oh, she's full of crap.
Absolutely.
And that feeds through with all of it.
No, I agree with you. And even when, people say, well, hey, she did really good on the BLM. And I said, well, okay, I can give you that. But what did she share with you that you didn't already know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because from my understanding, the BLM documentary really was just a good job of collecting all the information and putting it in one solid place. That's not real research. That's collecting of data and just putting it in a spot.
That's the other thing as well, is that she always piggybacks off other people's work, you know. So even the Brigitte Macron thing, that's not her work, you know.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I think it's crap, but it's not even her work. It's Xavier Possad's. So she's just jumped off that, and anything she attempts to add to that, to something that I think is already crackpot, it becomes even more crackpot what she adds to it. And now, I mean, this is why she's set up the whole Candace intelligence agency tip line, is because she's so lazy and she's not an investigative reporter. So now she has this tip line where people can just feed her material.
I have two things I want to share with you. Number one, Nathan, you might not know this, but yesterday, Candace Owens came to my house. She knocked on my door and she sold me some bootleg Girl Scout cookies. Do you believe that story?
Do I believe that?
Yes.
I would need some proof.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you need proof. I have a picture. There we go, right there. There's Candace Owens selling me some bootleg Girl Scout cookies at my house. Is that not enough evidence?
Hey, I can't prove you wrong.
Well, there you go. You can't prove that I'm wrong. You cannot prove I'm wrong. I have now shown more evidence that Candace Owens came to my house and sold me bootleg Girl Scout cookies than she did about the 920 building and the Egyptian planes. I've now shown you more evidence. So, or more evidence about anything. Truth. She has done all throughout this video today. She has thrown these things out and she's gotten this information from somebody and she never will tell you. That is bananas. And you brought something up, and I want to ask you this, Nathan Livingstone. By the way, that is a real picture. That is a real picture. It is. I don't care what y'all say in the chat who says that it was Chat GPT. It's not. It's a real picture. I'm telling you. Do you think, in your assessment, because you've seen quite a bit of her content, do you think that maybe her tip line is actually her greatest opposition?
Oh, that's interesting. Can you expand on that?
Absolutely. Okay. I've been paying attention. I've been noodling this out. I'll share it with you and I'll share it with our 921 people watching. The whole thing about the Egyptian plane, the first time that she came up with that plane discussion came from a tip on the tip line. And it took her down this rabbit hole to now where we are. Everything that she's gotten has come from tips or people expanding upon the tip that was shared with her. And there's been other things that have been shared that have been not true. Like, again, the 920 building email, I think that was totally a prank. I think that was totally a prank. When I went back and I pulled the transcript of that email, that person read out the address 11 times.
Yeah.
I'm like, why did they say the 920 building that many times? Because they knew that it was very clear that, and everything that was known in that email is publicly known, or you could find it. There's not one thing that says, hey, well, the Nathan Livingstone LLC is on the 5th floor, the 3rd door on the right. Nothing that was like not publicly available. So that's why I think it was fake. But anyway, my point is, she, as you mentioned, she gets all of her information from the Candace Anti-Intelligence Agency. And and where does that come from? From the tip line. I'm wondering if her tip line is really not, I think they're her biggest op. They're literally sending her down rabbit trails, giving her information, and she's just running with it. And She doesn't do the research. We know this now emphatically. So even during the Brigitte discussion, I remember one day somebody, I got to remember exactly what the conversation was. Somebody proposed an idea to her on air. The next day, she was running with it and had not done any research pertaining to it. So that's what I think. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, this is the thing, right? Her entire show is just going down rabbit holes.
No
so
question.
This is why her tip line is a blessing for her, because she doesn't have to do any work. So people can just feed her crazy stuff. So that, like, the good example of that was that she was doing the season 2 of Brigitte Macron. And I mean, I think anyone who was watching it could tell, like, there's really not much here. You know,
Right.
She has this thing where she always generates interest by making a sensational claim about herself and using herself, right? So that's where, when they sued her, you know, I mean, that was big news. So people flocked to her. But by the season 2 of Brigitte Macron, I mean, there really is not much meat on that bone.
No.
But someone sent in a screenshot saying, "Hey, I'm watching this doco on Stanford Prison Experiment, and this person looks like it could be Brigitte Macron's brother, Jean-Michel Trogneux."
Yep.
And so then she just, like, went straight down that rabbit hole of trying to connect Brigitte Macron to being in America in the 70s, part of the Stanford Prison Experiment, and then connect that to MK Ultra, all off just a screenshot of someone from watching a doco. And with that night, I went and, you know, went to the, like, archives on the Stanford Prison Experiment and found the name of that guy, found footage of him with an American accent, you know, all this information. Anyway, she went down the rabbit hole saying they're trying to protect this guy. It turned into a whole thing. That's my favorite period of Candace so far.
Yeah.
Because it's so crazy. It's so easy to debunk her. It's so obvious that she's just treading water, trying to find any fodder for material. And I also liked it because I don't like the Macrons, you know.
No.
I don't like her. I don't like her lying and this campaign of harassment. And I don't like that she's made me side with the Macrons. But I would much prefer her just talking conspiracy slop about Macrons than this TP USA stuff, which is I think really nasty and dark. Even following Candace, I've been surprised by how evil this has become.
No, I agree.
You know, so to get back to your question, you know, the tip line, I think that's where, you know, the material is good for her. The question is if she's being undermined and pranked. So my question to you, you know, she claimed that the same person who sent her tips about the office in Delaware sent her more about France being involved. So my question is, do you think that this person is deliberately playing along? That's why they didn't come out and say, "Look, I pranked her. I was the one that gave the lawyer's office." You think it's a long con?
I think,
you know,
I think it's been a long con. I think it has been.
Yeah.
And this is it. Because allegedly the person said that they were upset that we were calling them a troll and a prank. Why wouldn't they just say, "Hey, you know what? Let me go ahead and real quick. You can tell them that I work at 123 Piedmont Avenue." Or something that give another verifying piece of evidence that will put all heads to bed, all questions, or if you want to be true. Otherwise, there's no reason to trust you. Why should we believe? Matter of fact, why should we even believe that the email ever happened at all? I mean, come on, like following that logic, then come on.
My favorite is her when she goes to proof, like, about the assassination, and she's like, "I never even heard of the French Legionnaires." So the fact that I'm saying this means that it must be true.
There you go. And let me also point out, going back to the Macrons, and I asked this question during the whole Macron kerfuffle, but then what's going to be the end goal? What's going to happen? I think Brigitte and Emmanuel are nasty, horrible people, but they're married. Do you want them to, like, okay, fine. Whether it's 15 or 14, both of them are gross. But now they're married. What do you want to happen? What's the end goal? And you say, well, and people are saying, well, she's going to bring it to light. Well, we already know it now. We know now that they're terrible people. Even if it wouldn't matter, you're not going to not believe that they're not terrible people. So you're going to believe that. So what's going to be the result? What's going to happen? Are they going to get, what's going to happen? And nobody can tell me what's going to happen. And so even with this quote unquote investigation, well, what's going to happen? If you get Tyler Robinson off because you done muddied the waters for the jury pool, and they can't believe that Tyler Robinson did it because of all this shenanigans that you've thrown out there, what are you going to do? And nobody can answer that. Like, what's going to be the end goal? Because you've already cast doubt on the FBI, the local Utah police force, the UVU school, Charlie Kirk's security. No, everybody's got a specter of doubt. So what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't have any real impact on the court case. I don't think it will, but it is this larger. It is this problem where you now have people who are. Look, it's been really horrible to see the amount of TPUSA people who, one of their boss, a close friend, was publicly assassinated.
Facts.
And it's like that is so horrific. I mean, I didn't even know Charlie Kirk, and it was horrific to see.
Right? Yeah.
We're just not used to seeing that level of violence against someone, a public figure, especially someone like Charlie Kirk. And so then to see all these TPUSA people posting continually saying the hardest part has been this campaign of harassment and people accusing us of somehow being complicit and involved. That's just so horrible. I mean, that's just so horrible. That's where it really is hard to highlight just how evil what Candace Owens is doing. Even just to me, that this thing of her saying like, everything in Charlie Kirk's life was fake. That he was in the Truman Show, Which again, this thing of like, Candace Owens has never accused Erica Kirk of being involved, but she'll say that his life was the Truman Show. Which, if you've seen the Truman Show, Truman's wife
was in on it. Yeah,
one of the like primary people who's
facts.
And so the idea that Candace Owens is now spinning this narrative that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by his own organization, by everyone around him, and that he was a victim and taken out. I can't think of anything more evil really than to take away a man's legacy after he's dead and to say that everything he built was fake, including even possibly his family. I can't imagine, that is a kind of evil that I really can't understand, especially coming from someone who's supposedly a friend. I mean, it's horrible.
And I think you're right on the money. And I had a comment from earlier today, and where did it go? Darn it. I don't know what I did with it. It was actually a legitimate comment. Unlike my Girl Scout picture. Unlike that. That was not it. Okay. And I don't know what I did with it. I got to find it. But I want to just read this out because I think this is really helps encapsulate how she moves and uses words. Like I did a live stream today. I'm like, you have to read her tweets 3 and 4, maybe even 10 times before, because the first time you read it, you will run in a different direction than on the 10th time that you read it. And she said this: I've received information last night that put the final pieces together for me. I now can say with full confidence that I believe Charlie Kirk was betrayed by the leadership of Turning Point USA and some of the very people who eulogized him on stage. Full stop for a second. When you read that the first time, you almost believe that she has evidence to that point, don't you?
She's been saying this.
Right.
She's already been saying this. So so you assume that something new has come for her then to put like a,
But listen what she says. I now can say with full confidence. I can say anything with full confidence. Nathan, that doesn't mean it's true. I just told y'all with full confidence that this picture was valid.
Yeah.
I told you with full confidence this picture was valid. And I can say that. But that I believe with full confidence that this picture is valid. This is a Ring camera shot of her trying to sell me some bootleg Girl Scout cookies. I can say that. But that's not what you could extract from this the first time you read it.
But it's
You would
also,
think. Go ahead.
I haven't watched the episode today, but when I look at something like that, this is where the wording, he was betrayed. How was he betrayed?
Yeah.
Because this is where you look at that. And I mean, she was already thrown so many names around. She hasn't in this. He was betrayed as in they were part of the assassination plot.
Right.
He was
That's a good
betrayed by, whatever people with the donation, something to do with the financial side and the business side.
They did.
I mean, like, how was he betrayed? And that's why she leaves herself with enough cover to be able to come out and say, "Oh, I didn't say that. I never said that. That it was the assassination. I'm just talking about something to do with the finances. I don't know. I mean, you watch some of the show, so possibly she delved into it.
She didn't.
But yeah, okay, right.
She didn't. No, and as with all things, and maybe we'll finish it up. I don't know. I kind of rage quit the thing. Sometimes it just gets crazy. But no, she didn't. She did not address that and explain that in any way, shape, or form. And to go on, let me finish this up. And yes, I will be naming names and providing evidence for my claims. There was no evidence shown. Like, apparently this big billions of dollars that was going to come in a turning point, this was just water cooler talk, and people were talking about it around the water cooler. That's crazy work. Like, well, how did it couldn't be that much of a secret if it was just commonplace and people were talking about it around the water cooler. That's crazy work. So how did you get this information, Candace? Like, show us the evidence. And if somebody is not meant to, or somebody's not willing to put their name on it and say, yes, I work at TPUSA. I know I'm going to lose my job, but I'm going to tell you right now, they were getting free paper clips. That's right. They were getting free paper clips. And from, Office Max was giving them free paper clips, and they weren't paying for them. My name is Jason. If we're not doing that, then maybe you shouldn't be throwing this information out there, because you don't have any way to verify it or prove it, or for Nathan to look at it and say, yeah, I'm looking at this evidence. It does look pretty bad. Yeah. That's the part I'm looking at.
I mean, the bar is so low for her.
Yeah.
Like, she so rarely actually provides any receipts. She makes so much noise and throws out the most outrageous, ridiculous claims with no evidence, that when she does, like that group chat with Charlie Kirk, with the Jewish donors, people are like, oh my gosh, Candace with the receipts, look at this. She finally provided something.
They want to believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. When you actually look at that receipt, you actually break it down and look at it for what it is in the context. And then with, the people who are part of that group chat providing extra context around it, you realize, like, oh, it's actually not what she claimed it was.
Absolutely. I don't know if you watched John from What Do You Mean? He did the video about how Candace deluges you with information to the point that your brain is almost tired of like, and she did this on this video right here today. And we just quit because, having you on was refreshing and give us a little break, a little respite. But she's throwing out so many ideas, maps and DuPont and American history. America was founded by rogue Freemasons and such of that nature. It wasn't because people wanted religious freedom from Europe. No. It was a rogue Freemasons that were fighting each other. And, France helped in the Revolutionary War and then stayed around, and they owned Delaware. Because you know why? Do you know why Delaware, and I'm sorry, Wilmington, Delaware is in her crosshairs?
No, I mean, I only know because it's a LLC's there.
Her LLC is there, absolutely. Yeah. But the reason is she's being sued in Delaware. So she's already chumming the water that Delaware is against her. She's already chumming the water that Delaware is going to not work favorably in her. Because remember, even the dismissal, that hasn't come out yet. The judge hasn't ruled on the dismissal. She knows probably it's not going to get dismissed because she's already done business. She's already sued people from Delaware. Yeah. Like, she sued people from Delaware. So I think at the end of the day, somebody said, wait, hold on. Is her evidence locked behind a paywall? That's crazy work. I wouldn't be surprised. But let us continue. So I think that's why she keeps besmirching Delaware and Wilmington, Delaware, and such like that, because she wants to already set the groundwork that I know I'm not going to get a fair trial because everybody in Delaware is in the French's pocket and everybody's moving for France. So, of course, Macrons are the president and first lady of France. That's why I lost.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, that's where the "What Do You Mean" video did really well. You know, the more you watch her, the more you pick up on all these little tricks that she uses. And I think that's the thing. That's why she's a fascinating character, because she's so incredibly manipulative, but also just straight up deceitful. You know, so it's the same thing. Like, she brings up with the Macrons. One of her go-tos lately is about the MK Ultra. And so she continually claims, "Oh, look at the Macrons. They mentioned MK Ultra 18 times in the lawsuit." You know, it's very strange. What's the thing? She's got a corny, like the dog's barking. You know,
a dog
Thief in the
whistle.
Night. She talks in these like riddles that just gives me like
She
cringe.
does do that. She does do that. That's a good point.
And you know, but this is where, you know, she says, "Oh, look at this. They're pointing to something that I haven't even said." And then you
But
go
you
back
did.
and you go back and watch, and you know, you realize that it's the same thing with the wording with that post, right?
Yes.
You go back and she's continually saying, "Hey, look, Brigitte Macron's birthday is like the same day that MK Ultra started. You know, hey, look, MK Ultra was centered around, you know, loners and people like this." And then she talks about how Emmanuel Macron like mirrors that. You know,
Yeah.
she talks about how his dad was a psychologist, and how, you know, so it's continually these two things where she's doing this over and over again. You know, so her audience absolutely understands what she's putting out there. And then when the Macrons rightfully then put it into the lawsuit that she's very much insinuating there's a connection between the Macrons and the and MK Ultra, she's like, "I never explicitly said that the Macrons were part of the MK Ultra."
Right.
You're like, well, you know, you pretty much did. You know, because it's funny that you say that, because your audience absolutely understood what you were throwing out there.
And you know it. I'm gonna bring up another point as well, but this is one of her people that support her. This is a comment that they made, and I felt like it really did encapsulate all of the wordsmithing and lyrical gymnastics that she does. And this person said this: she didn't say they murdered him, because this is about the betrayal. That's a straw man. She said they betrayed him. And I said, well, in the video I did earlier, I said, where did they betray him? Did they take like his favorite parking spot? Did they take his favorite coffee mug out of the shared kitchen? How did they betray Charlie Kirk? In murdering him. I mean, there's no other way around it. There's no other way to say they betrayed him with anything else. Well, what would be the most important example of betrayal? Taking the guy's life. Like, come on. And then betrayal doesn't even imply any crime of doesn't even imply any crime of any kind. I didn't understand why he says that, because sure, I could betray Nathan by not being online on time when he sent me the email. I might have betrayed him. He might have felt betrayed. Did you feel betrayed when I did that?
I did.
By any chance? You did? Okay. Okay. Well, I apologize, friend. I apologize. But that's not a crime. I think it's fair to say, right? But if I happen to betray your trust, you gave me your house key to watch your house, but I betray your trust and kind of cleaned out your house, I think that's fair to say that might be a little bit different. So maybe betrayal isn't always a crime, but come on now. That's crazy work.
This is like with the, I posted those clips from the book club.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That she copyright struck me for. And, in that she's talking about how Charlie Kirk was betrayed by Trump.
Yeah.
And how he gave his life to politics and he was betrayed. And then she goes on to say they give you a boulevard after they kill you. And it's like all in this rant, it was Trump, feds, they killed you. They did this to Martin Luther King, blah, blah.
Israel. Don't forget Israel.
Well, I've got a clip of her where she just flat out lays out, that TP USA pretty much like took Charlie Kirk down because his opinions on Israel were changed. She lays out her theory in one clip, and I posted that because I'm like, this is the same fans who will say that she's never insinuated Eric Kirk was part of it.
Right.
Will be the same ones who've said like, oh, she never said that Israel was behind the assassination. Meanwhile during a segment where she's talking about Seth Dillon and Josh Hammer and Netanyahu.
Yep.
She's made an AI, I Know What You Did Last Summer with
Sure
Charlie
did.
Kirk movie poster.
Yep.
And it's like, I mean, that's pretty, I don't know how you can, say it more than that.
Well, I think what she's betting on the fact that, one, I didn't say it directly, so therefore you can't say that. We can understand it, but it would be implied, and I think it would be hard to prove it in a court of law. But somebody's mentioned that the people calling for Candace to attack Erica. This was a post some time ago talking about, well, people are asking Candace to call out Erica Kurt, and Candace said she wouldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. I said, isn't that interesting? Where do you see that conversation coming from, though? You don't see that in my comment section. You don't see that in other sane people's comment sections. You only see it in Candace's comment section and people who think and talk like Candace, that do the lyrical gymnastics, that do the wordsmithing to say something but not really say something, to imply it but not be direct. That's why you see it over there, because you don't see it over here. And because it's all her people, it's her people that are saying it. And
I mean,
therein is the problem.
You see it whenever she's talking about Erica Cook, and the chat will say like Erica is her one blind spot. That's what the Candace fans are saying, and my opinion is it's not a blind spot. She knows the optics of going after the widow, and she knows that's that is not a good idea. But I believe that she will eventually go after Erica.
No question about it.
I want to know your opinion. How do you feel about how TPUSA has handled all of this Candace, craziness after Charlie Kirk's assassination?
That's a great question. Thank you so much. I think TPUSA has made a lot of mistakes, in my opinion. In my opinion, they've done a lot of things that I would not have done. I think before they went back to business as usual, I do think they should have maybe culled the herd a little bit and recognized that some of these people are Charlie Kirk's friends, or some of these people are Charlie Kirk's, and he was able to wrangle people together that I can't do that. I just can't do that. As stepping into this position, I'm not Nathan's friend like that. I just can't. I disagree with Nathan too much. Maybe we need to cut some people out. They should never have had Tucker Carlson at the funeral, on Charlie Kirk's talk show. They should, or at TPUSA after the fact. They should never have done that. That was terrible, horrible idea, and we see what happened because of that. So, in my opinion, I think they should have waited before they went back to business as usual, and kind of did a little bit of, let's get everybody back on center and make sure that everybody's right inside the organization, as well as their speakers, and start culling some of those people, trimming some of them out. And again, Tucker Carlson should never have been there, in my opinion. So that's what I think in that regard. As it relates to Candace, I think TPUSA is doing the right thing by not addressing her. Because as we mentioned before, she gets all of her information from the tip line or people responding to her. So at the current moment, everything now I'm praying, Nathan, that they already have a truckload size of lawsuits ready to drop on Candace in a moment. Once the judge says they can, sue the dickens out of her. I mean, sue her till her eyeball. I mean, take her weave, take her shoes, take everything. But right now, don't say a word. Just as much as it pains me to see it, because I'm like, dang, I would want to defend myself. I would want to correct miserrors and such of that nature. And yeah, people are being attacked. Just leave it alone until further notice. Leave it alone. And so I think they did wrong about going back to business as usual. They should have just stopped. Everybody would have respected, say, hey, we got Erica here. We got a brand new grieving spouse as a CEO. Maybe we don't need to go back to business as usual. And I don't think anybody would have disagreed. However, them not addressing Candace, I think, is the smartest thing they could do.
See, I think my issue is that they did address Candace too often. Okay. I think they did. They responded to her claims continually when they felt that they had to. You know, like with the group chat, you know, you've got them coming out and acknowledging this group chat is real. You know, it came from Andrew
From
Colvin.
yeah, hold on, hold
Yeah.
on, hold on. Let me time out. In retrospect, yeah, there are some instances where I do agree with you. So I don't sound double tongued or like I'm speaking out both sides of my mouth. Yeah, you're correct. But even with that though, even with that reply, it did shed some light. So I'm gonna let you go back to play. But yeah, I can kind of agree with you there. You're right.
I don't think there's it's a what an insane situation when not only, you know, you're the CEO assassinated, but now you've got someone out, you know, someone who's come out and is accusing you of being involved, you know,
Yeah.
while you've got this organization to run, employees, you know, on your books, you got to pay all this staff. So I think I think they should have, yeah, absolutely, completely deprived her of oxygen, and in no way not acknowledged any of her claims. Or I think they should have started calling her out earlier, because I think they did something halfway. You know, they did something in between. So I think they kind of got caught in her crosshairs, acknowledged a lot of what she was saying. They gave her too much oxygen, and I think they've waited too long to come out hard against her, that she's actually done a good job of undermining the organization now and throwing enough mud that it's stuck. So I think what it would have meant for TPUSA to come out against her, to do it now, I think it's too late. I think she's done a good job at undermining them, you know. But there is no right way to do this, and at the same time, you know, I think you also have to look at Charlie Kirk. I think Charlie Kirk also made some mistakes as well
Yeah,
before
for
he
sure.
died, and I think this strategy that they took up, I think he kind of led with as well before he died. You know, he didn't call out Candace Owens. He didn't call out Tucker. You know, it seems like he was either he was very, very loyal, or he was very much, like you were saying, he was very much concerned about keeping this coalition together and not having infighting.
Right.
And so, you know, I think, again, my concern is that she's going to start attacking Erica and start chipping away at her. And when Candace said, Erica hasn't come out and said to stop. If she will, then I will. I think by the time, you know, this does blow up and Erica starts pushing back, my concern is that Candace will sufficiently undermine Erica so well that when she does start to push back, people are then going to have turned on Erica.
That's fair. I can totally dig that. And again, I think there's somebody said it earlier, you know, humans make mistakes. There's a lot of reasons. I don't know what I would have done in that situation if I were, if, you know, again, if I were Charlie and this happened to my wife, or I don't know what my wife would have done if I was Charlie. I don't know. I can't even begin. So sure, there are a lot of mistakes made. But I do think recognizing properly where the attack is coming from and starving that of attention at this point, even though there have been missteps, I think is the right thing to do.
I mean, this is, you know, this is the thing with the whole conspiracy theories thing. No matter what you say, you only give validity to the conspiracy.
No
So
question. Right.
That's where it's lose. You know, so Candace can be out there spinning all sorts of just ridiculous, outrageous crackpot things,
Right.
and either you ignore it, and that gives oxygen to it, because she then says, "Look, they're not responding," as she did yesterday with Macron's ignoring this assassination. She used that as evidence to say, "Look, they're not saying anything, so I must be telling the truth." And then if you do respond, she then says, "Look how they're pushing back. I'm telling the truth. I'm over the target." You know,
over the target.
So
Yeah.
lose.
No, you're right on the money. All right. So let me, since you brought that up, Nathan, do you believe the assassination, the John Wick? Do you believe the high table put a marker out on Candace? Tell the truth. Let's go.
If I was going to put it into a percentage likelihood that I believe this is happening, It would probably be around the 0.3%.
Wow, that high?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, no, there's no way in the world. Okay, let me ask you this then: what are you pointing to say this is not true? Because 0.3 is pretty high, so that means you got some evidence. No,
I mean, it's one of those things where it's if you watch Candace enough, you see what she does, and she throws out ridiculous claims.
Right.
This is my question is, what does she have to point to that's true? Now, I'm not saying that in the way of just like, you need to provide evidence for your claim. I'm saying that in that I know that Candace wouldn't just come out with this outrageous claim if she had nothing.
Gotcha.
So there's something there. Now whatever it is, whether she just fabricated it or whether she got it from some crazy tip, or whether there's some tiny nugget of truth that she's just completely exploded into this, into this over-the-top assassination narrative. There's something there, I mean, that is her thing. She baits people to respond, to call her crazy, to say that there's nothing there. So that then becomes the argument. So then she can then produce whatever she has, no matter how little it is, to then show, oh, look, like I said, like, oh, look, Candace with the receipts. So there is something there. I don't know what it is, but she's going to come out with something, I imagine, this week. This is her expertise. Like yesterday's episode seems like it was a bit of a nothing, really.
Today was the exact same thing.
But this is the thing. She came out with that crazy claim last week. She's like, they're trying to assassinate me. This spans across, America, France, Israel. So she knows that people are going to tune in because she said this insane thing. So she knows I'm going to have eyeballs, but she's not going to waste material that she has because she knows she's already got people who are tuning in, So that's why she's going to save that, because this is inevitably what happens. The audience kind of starts to dwindle as they realize, oh, there's actually not much substance here. And then she'll come out with something that will then, pique interest again. I
agree with you.
But to go back to your original question, how do I know the big thing is that I've seen nothing from her lawyers. She's being sued by people that she's now claiming are trying to kill her. That you would think that her lawyers would respond with some, I don't know, injunction to say, look at this development.
Wonderful question. Yeah. This has gone a little bit south, Judge. We got a problem here. Right. We've gone a little, this is different. There you go.
We're having to go into witness protection now.
Right. So and I have another example too that can go along with it as well. If I made a threat, let's say I made a credible threat against you, Nathan, and let's say I lived in your town and I made a credible threat against you that I was going to harm you and it's such of that nature, what would be the first thing you would do?
I would, I guess, go to the authorities.
There you go. Where's the police report? Did she file a police report with the police that this is a real viable threat? No, she didn't, because filing a false police report is a crime. So she can't file a false police report because there will be a problem when they see the evidence or they find out that this was fake. She will be going to jail for that. That's why she didn't file a police report.
Yeah, this is how yesterday she said she texted someone in the FBI. She said that it ended up on the desk of Trump. She said that she got word back from counterterrorism, right?
She said it, but never explained what was the word back.
This is where it's like her phone call with Trump, where he told her to not talk about Brigitte Macron. What an insane claim again. And
go ahead. I apologize.
No, and again, there was nothing. There was no phone log of like, here's the call here, like this is the time, like anything at all, you know. And again, no one from the White House came out to confirm it. But again, it's like I don't doubt maybe there was a phone call from Trump, but there's no way that I'm going to take Candace's word on what that phone call actually was.
No, I got you. So going back to the assassination, besides the fact that there's nothing from her lawyers, there's no evidence that a police report was filed. I mean, that would be a big deal. At least get the authorities involved so they know, like, hey, there's somebody who's seeking to do me harm. They might be in the bushes behind, and maybe they're talking in the bushes. Maybe it's the bees. I don't know. But at least you can let them know. Why did she not spend last week sharing the evidence to that fact? Because everybody's arguing and saying that she doesn't have it. Why not put the questions to bed and lead and say, let me show you all my evidence. Here it is. Here's the email. Here's the text message. Here's the DM that told me that this was going to happen. Nothing. So again, it's a giant trust me, bro. Like there's nothing, there's no reason to believe anything that she said was true. None whatsoever. And that's crazy work.
I was trying to think like what's the, I don't know, what's the aim, what's driving it? Would this have any impact on the Macrons lawsuit? People are throwing around that this is more proof to show that she genuinely believes what she's saying. That for the defamation thing, like, look, pointing to this, clearly this is someone who means what she says. Because in defamation you got to prove that they're knowingly lying. I was trying to think, is this her attempt to somehow bring Trump into the fold? Because she's aware just how much danger she is in now with the lawsuit. She was desperately trying to get Trump to come out and speak on this months back after it launched. She was saying this is a free speech issue. Where's Trump? Where's JD Vance? They would not take the bait. I don't know. This is where, to go back to your question of is the tip line her greatest opposition? In some ways, I think we are seeing that her audience will be her undoing. Not because they're actively undermining her, but because they're actually building her up.
I can dig that. Yeah.
I think this is, you can only kind of live in this like conspiracy crackpot land so long until eventually you end up like Alex Jones, where there's real world consequences for the things that you're saying. And I think we will see that with Candace. I think we're inevitably going to see her implode on a massive grand scale. And then she'll eventually rebuild and start doing it all over again.
No, I can. And I was actually going to ask you, where do you think this is going to go? But let me ask you a different question. Why do you think so many, I'm sure you've seen the other conservative, right-leaning, pro-Trump content creators that are not addressing Candace directly? And then my second follow-up question is, do you think they need to address her directly? So those are my two questions.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you like people look up to these commentators and influencers, and they believe that they're authorities, and that they're kind of like speaking against the government, and that they're brave and courageous. I really don't think it's that different to high school, where I do think that like Candace Owens is like the queen bee mean girl, and I think these commentators are terrified because she has a path of just like ruining people, and because she has zero morality, and she will absolutely lie. She will absolutely, go full hardcore, like, against anyone that comes into her crosshairs. I think people are terrified of her. And I think also she has a massive audience. And as messed up as that is, that gives her legitimacy in today's world. So people don't want to burn that bridge, So I think it's a simultaneous thing. If she has this massive audience, she has a cult-like following, and, she's someone who will absolutely go after anyone if they cross her. But also she's incredibly popular. So, that also suits people to be able to tap into that audience and to keep her on side. Whether they should go after her. I mean, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. This is the whole thing for me. It's just over the past few years, every single argument that people made against the mainstream media and corporate news, and how biased it was, and how it was, deceitful, fake news, all of these complaints.
For sure.
I mean, all of it now can be easily pointed towards alternative media, and I think especially with Candace Owens, there is no one in mainstream media or the corporate press who is doing anything as horrendous as Candace Owens is. And the fact that there's all these people also in alternative media who are defending her and not calling her out, I think is, I think it really is, it says a lot about these people.
No, I agree. I agree with you 100%. All right, let's talk about, if you don't mind, Mr. Livingstone. You have a little bit of a problem going on, and I would like you to let the audience know about it. A little bit of shenanigans happening related to you directly, and I don't know if the audience knows specifically about it. I'd love for you to tell them a little bit about what's going on with you and give them an opportunity to understand what you might be asking from them.
Oh yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, I started making content on Candace through Andrew Tate. I mean, that's because they're friends. Her husband is close, longtime friends with Andrew Tate. How that started was, I started making videos on COVID and criticizing the COVID response. From then I started to dig into other subjects, and one of them was Andrew Tate, just because I saw so many people in the circles that I was in at the time who were embracing Andrew Tate.
Right.
And the more I looked into him, the more I was disgusted by what I found. By the time he was then arrested and indicted for human trafficking and other horrible crimes in Romania, I started to get to know more and more. But it was really the Tucker Carlson interview where I believe that I caught him actively lying to Tucker about what he was charged with. And also it was an indictment of Tucker, because Tucker, either he was a completely incompetent interviewer and reporter because he didn't bother to do 2 minutes research to find out what Tate was charged with, because he didn't push back, or he was somehow, possibly complicit in allowing Tate to spin a narrative. But anyway, that led me to make my first video on Andrew Tate and exposing him. And it was basically just like a best of video of him, what he was charged with. But also the fascinating thing about Andrew Tate, especially as a video editor, is that he seemingly has a years-long trail of videos where he self-snitched to the crimes that he was then charged with, which is incredibly fascinating. It's incredibly fascinating to potentially have someone who's charged with human trafficking, who then in the past taught courses on how to human traffic with that exact same method they were then charged with. That's really fascinating. So anyway, I've spent years covering Andrew Tate, his criminal cases, and making videos exposing him. And it was me and several other people, and we would bounce information off back and forth here and there.
For sure.
It was March this year that he then launched a lawsuit against me and these others who are all on Twitter, who've all been covering his ongoing criminal cases. And so he's suing us for defamation, and he's claiming that we're part of a conspiracy to defame him. And so that's been going on since March, and we've had several court hearings as that's been progressing. He's suing us in Florida. It's a very bizarre criminal case. I'm in Australia. as we've spoken about. A lot of the people.
And he's not from Florida.
He's not from Florida. He
That is
doesn't
interesting.
live in Florida.
Yeah.
But apparently because one of the defendants is in Florida, that then gives its jurisdiction because people in Florida saw social media posts about him. So that then means that it can be apparently anchored in Florida. That's one of the arguments that's being used to try and get this thing thrown out. The lawsuit is crazy. I believe it's absolutely frivolous, and I believe that it's his attempt to get revenge on those of us that exposed him and managed to actually undermine his fake narrative about his criminal cases. I think we've seen that over the past couple of years. He's absolutely lost popularity. He started to become welcome in, I think, some like serious circles with people who actually have reputations and influence.
I got you.
And I think as more and more the truth about his allegations and who he really is, he's been pushed more and more to the fringe. And I think now I believe he's pretty much culturally irrelevant at this point. So this is an attempt to get revenge, I believe, against those of us that have successfully exposed him.
And real quick, can you give the link? Because this is not a cheap venture to defend yourself against Andrew Tate, and I would love for the mods to please drop the link in the chat. This is Giving Tuesday, so let's see if we can help out Mr. Livingstone and help him with this. What is the link again?
Yeah, so the crowdfund link is givesendgo.com/free speech versus Tate. And so that'll take you to the crowdfund. And we've also got a site called truthversustate.com. And that also has a link to the crowdfund. Both we've posted the lawsuit, so you can read the lawsuit on there. And you can see for yourself what they're alleging. And I think, it becomes clear as you read it how little they've got. The Tates with that lawsuit. Yeah.
Let me stop you for a second. In the private chat, can you put that link? I want to make sure we have it right, because I don't want to mess it up and give it to somebody else.
No worries.
And then make sure the mods have it. I think they might have got it, but I just want to make sure I don't mess up anything.
No worries.
I should have had that ready. I apologize, moderators. Please forgive me. Wait. I think they got me. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right there.
Shout out to Tina. There we go. That link worked. Shout out to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so there's that'll take you directly to the crowdfund. And we've also got truthversustate.com. And there that also has the lawsuit, and it'll take you to the crowdfund, but you can also contribute with crypto. It should be set up there. And yeah, so we've got a hearing on December 4th.
Thursday.
Yeah, so it's coming up. We're hoping that it'll get dismissed, but who knows with these things. But yeah, I encourage you to read the lawsuit. I want to point out, a couple of the things that they do there is, what they'll do is they'll have an example of defamation. So for me, one of the examples they have is that I'll point out that Andrew Tate would allegedly brand women with tattoos that would say property of Tate and owned by Tate. Now, this is very, very common with human trafficking. Trafficking victims will be branded by their traffickers with something like this. Now, in the indictment, the prosecutor says how this is a modern form of slavery, and that that slaves would be branded as well. And so he points this out, and he points out the branding and talks about that. So So something that they would do is that I would then post a direct quote of the prosecutor, and I would even make a video where I'm showing Andrew Tate talking about women having his name tattooed on them, and so
Gotcha.
he would boast about that. He would say there's like 25 women now that have my name tattooed on them, and it would be this thing that he would do, and he would do this in War Room, his thing that he has for all his followers and everything.
Yeah.
Where it would be something that people would share. And they would say that, you're a real alpha and top G when girls get your name tattooed on them. So I would show that video of him talking about that, where he would say that this is what he would do. He would even say, there's even a video where he says, I put my name on things like my cars because they're mine, like my women. So I would do that video, and I would then quote and show the actual criminal. I'd show the indictment with the prosecutor. So I would show that specifically. I would quote them in the post. And then now what you would see in the lawsuit, they would remove the fact that I'm quoting the prosecutor. They've removed that. And then it makes it look like I'm just making this statement myself. That Nathan Livingstone is saying that this is what the Tates did. And that this is the equivalent of, modern day slavery. Where if you look at the post, you can see I am directly attributing it to the Romanian prosecutor. I have the court document that I'm showing. I'm referencing it. And they remove all that information just to make it look like this is the statement that I'm saying myself. This is the kind of, I believe, tricks that they're using. And you'll see that throughout with the lawsuit.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you, man. Let's see. We are the mods are making sure that this is in the chat. Thank y'all so much for doing that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No, not a problem at all. So Thursday, are you going to have to come stateside? How do you deal with this? Because you're not coming to the States, are you?
We're hoping this isn't going to go to trial. That's
right, for sure.
That's the hope. So potentially, if it does go to trial, I'm sure I'll be able to do it through Zoom remotely.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you so much for talking about that. I know it's a rough thing like that. I hate that you have to deal with it, but prayerfully, if you all would please click the link and go support Nathan Livingstone and what he's doing in fighting his case against Andrew Tate. So please check him out.
Yeah,
I'll leave that.
I want to point out that last week I made a video reaching out because we needed to meet. Pretty much, we needed an extra $10,000 from what we had.
Gotcha.
We had about 25, so we needed 10,000 to for all that legal work to be done to get to this hearing.
Okay.
Which we ended up getting 16,000. Some person very
Nice.
generously donated $10,000 anonymously. So we have met that short-term goal to get us to that hearing. So I want to be transparent. We've met that short-term goal that we needed to get to. We are hoping that this will be dismissed, but you just never know with these things. Right. So if it doesn't, then we're going to have to keep fighting, keep pushing, and keep raising money.
Okay. Well, prayerfully, it will be dismissed because that does seem like the right thing to do. Come on, man. It's just the right thing to do, Lord. All right, let's jump back. We're going to talk about Candace. Hopefully that cleared your palate a little bit. I got to ask you a question about Candace. Where do you think this is going to go to? Where's Candace's main goal? What is she trying to do?
I think that's where it's important to point out that she has plenty of money. From just the what she's generating herself from her channel and from her show, but also through her marriage to George Farmer. They have no, they're not in need. Let's just say that they're doing pretty well for themselves. So I don't. Thanks, Kelly. Thanks to everyone who's contributing. So that's where she's not doing this for money. She has money. Right. I really do think that her currency is relevance, and engagement and attention. I think we saw that with how over the moon she was about having the #1 podcast.
Right.
I think that's her aim. So that's why she doesn't care if people think that she's insane. It doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter as long as she's getting headlines and people are talking about her. This is the catch-22, and this is the thing that I found myself conflicted with, you know, because yeah, it's exactly like what we were talking about with TPUSA and how they should respond to Candace. You know, I get conflicted because it is this thing of, you know, with the content that I'm making around Candace, am I just feeding her exactly what she wants? And
That's a fair question.
am I even potentially driving more people to watch her? Because I will see people who respond to the videos that I make, and then they seem to be now tuning in because of the car crash element of it. You know, so I am conflicted with that, but at the same time, you know, I'm like, she's popular. I'm me posting about her, me not posting about her isn't going to stop her from being popular. So
That is correct.
You know, that's where I figure, yeah, probably the same as you. It's she has a profile, she has influence, she's building this cult-like following, and it's important that people are monitoring this and actively debunking the things that she's pointing out.
And I agree with you. And I haven't been a lot of conflicted about it. I have thought it in the back of my mind, but I'm like, no, because I do believe that the light needs to be shed, and clearer heads need to prevail. And people like yourself who put out fantastic content. And I mean, we all owe you a debt of gratitude for the content you put out, because it's helped tons of us. Like, let's be honest. So us being able to comment about it and ask questions and point out things like that come from the fact that you've done such a great job doing of curating the information. And I don't know what kind of file system you have, but my goodness, in the morning, man, you're able to find things from back 5-7 years ago and bring it forward. That's amazing. So, people want to have that conversation about it because it is on the public. You know, it is all out in front, and people do want to talk about it. And creating a space and a place for people to talk about it, play bingo and make fun of it, laugh and all that kind of stuff, I think is good, because people do have questions and people do want to sort through this. And sometimes laughter is a good medicine. Sometimes arguing out in the comment section is a good medicine. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. And as you said before, us not talking about it's not going to make her any less a cultural phenom. That's just not going to happen. So we're not going to be able to. We don't make that big of a difference, truth be told. So that's how I take it. But
yeah, I mean, Candace is going anywhere. You know, she's not going anywhere. I think that this will end up. I mean, you're seeing that with Macron. It's going to end up in court there.
for sure.
I have it on good knowledge that there's, you know, at least some lawsuits coming down the pipeline because of this Charlie Kirk investigation. And the allegations she's made around that. I think this is where it's, you know, it's like, it amazes me how short-term people's memories are, you know.
Good point.
The fact that anyone was taking Candace seriously after Charlie Kirk died, and that they thought that somehow she was going to break open some truth about a massive government conspiracy and find the actual killers of Charlie Kirk. That it's more disturbing people responding to that, and people that I think are reputable. That's more disturbing than what Candace is doing. That's why it's important to point out, look, this is what Candace was doing before Charlie Kirk died. Pure, just gibberish conspiracy nonsense. This is not someone who is an investigative reporter. This is not someone to be taken seriously. This is someone who actively deceives her audience. She knowingly will lie to her audience to push her agenda. So that's where it's important to just bring that back. Just be like, do not take this person seriously. We need to like laugh at her. And we need to, I think her fans need to be ashamed to openly say that they're fans of her.
So you agree with me that Candace Owens is an IQ test at this point?
she's always been an IQ test. You know, I think it's amazing. People forget. You know, it's like a decade ago. She was still a lefty with a
Yeah.
blog site that was writing about how Donald Trump had a mushroom-sized penis. Candace
Crazy work.
Owens was writing about how affairs are romantic. She was making fun of stay-at-home mums. She was writing about how you can get Adderall and other drugs without prescriptions. You know, she started this doxing site, Social Autopsy, that I'm sure
Yes.
you've covered, which she encouraged the doxing of minors. I mean, all of this imploded. She imploded on the left. You know, she tried to make it on the left. And the Social Autopsy thing really
Yeah.
blew up in her face. It's amazing. You can go back and see the Young Turks, Anna Kasparian and Cenk, covering Social Autopsy and saying how bad an idea this is. And they quote Candace Owens before Candace Owens is famous. You know,
Right.
they're quoting her now, and Anna Kasparian's like on the same side as her now. So this is where it's a pattern with her, you know. And I think that's why people are now like, oh, she's nuts. She's a conspiracy theorist, kook. And they forget she's always been a left-wing blogger. She's always been someone who's interested in celebrity gossip, conspiracy slop. She's never been an investigative reporter. She's never been someone to be taken seriously. And she's always jumped on these bandwagons. You know, she only became a conservative after it was safe to become a conservative. You know, I did a podcast with Tree of Logic, and it was the same thing with Tree of Logic. I mean, she was pointing to all these other people who were black people that were already on the Trump bandwagon when it wasn't safe to do that. And they were like, Candace stole all the talking points that were already out there. You know, you can track her career to see that there's a pattern here.
Absolutely. I think she became a conservative when she realized that there was a vacuum of a black female conservative voice, and she jumped into that space. Hence why, like, she attacked Kim Klacik, and she's very vitriolic toward black females in the conservative space because she wants to be the black female conservative. But I believe that she's always been cosplaying as a conservative. She's super confident, and that confidence level comes across very strong, very, again, confident. And she's been able to play that for the better part of a decade, but she's always been a leftist. She's just cosplaying as a conservative.
Yeah, I mean, Tree of Logic, she was saying that if Candace was white, you know, if she was like Tommy Lauren, no one would be taking her seriously. They would be coming after her. Yep. And it's the fact that, you know, the right-wing movement in America, they just don't have prominent black females.
Correct.
For whatever reason. And so the idea, you know, that they don't want. I mean, I get accused of racism. Yeah, it's like, oh, you're going after a black female. I mean, it's just, it's so dumb. But I think people are genuinely afraid of that, you know. But I think they're also, you know, they feel like, oh, if we take down Candace, who do we have left to then point to say, look, here's like a strong black female voice. I don't know who they, you know, they seem to have a shortage. So I think that's a big reason why people don't go after her as well.
I think one of the takeaways that's going to come from this, when all the smoke clears and all the dust settles, is the right, the political right needs to stop doing exactly what the political left does. Identity politics should not be one of our staples. We shouldn't run and say, well, we need somebody to fill this space because they check a box. Because that's what we're pointing the finger at the left for doing. We can't do that ourselves. Now, sure, there might be somebody who bubbles to the top because they do have a particular phenotype or they do look a certain way. Sure, but it shouldn't be our driving point, because we made a lot of mistakes by allowing Candace to run around unfettered and unchecked. And now look what we got. So hopefully the learning from this will be, we can't do exactly what the left is doing and then be mad at the left. I mean, for crying out loud, then we need to bring DIE back. And be like, fine, because I mean, Candace is a DIE I mean, she definitely was a DIE hire.
Yeah. Look, that's where I encourage people to on my YouTube. It's got the podcast, my interview with Tree of Logic.
Yep.
And I think Tree of Logic is absolutely right, where she says, because Tree of Logic was getting doxxed on that social autopsy site, so her dox was there. And she reached out to Candace, and Tree of Logic was a cop. So she had people that she put away that had vowed that they were gonna kill her. So the stakes were very, very high, and she asked Candace to remove her docs, and Candace would not do it. And this was after Candace had come out as a conservative, and Tree of Logic was trying to sound the alarm. She's like, this is who this person is. They've got this doxing side. They will not take down my docs. I'm a cop. She was trying to sound the alarm and warn everyone. And this is before Candace was on PragerU. This was before Daily Wire. This is when Candace was going on InfoWars all the time.
Yeah. Yep.
And you can see it at that time. Alex Jones is really trying hard. He's openly stating that he wants her to have a show on InfoWars. And you can tell that Candace she's like, I've got all these offers, She's like, the world's my oyster right now. I'm really in demand. And so she went with PragerU and then built up to Daily Wire. And for a time there, people thought, oh, okay, this Candace Owens is like reputable. She seems to be a serious force that's going to be valuable to us. And Tree of Logic is like, I have no sympathy for any of you now that she's turned around and burn all your bridges. She was like, I tried to warn you back in 2017 and you would not listen. And now you're reaping what you sow. And now we're seeing this. We're seeing Candace come full circle where she's now appealing to the left, with this Charlie Kirk investigation thing. She's like, the left and the right need to come together. We need to fight the elite. Elite, Yeah, it's all this thing. She's now managing to tie up the Macron, the Charlie Kirk stuff, all of it
That is crazy.
To say, I'm Russell Crowe in Gladiator. She said that. I'm Russell Crowe in Gladiator, and I'm bringing down everyone. I'm causing a revolution,
That's some crazy work, man. All right. Oh, let me ask you this last question. And what do you think is going to happen with the Macron case?
Look, it's hard to tell. I've seen people say that it's a slam dunk for Macron. I don't think you can know with this stuff. I really don't.
Right.
But I think they've got a damn good case. I mean, you read the lawsuit. I think they got a damn good case. I really do think after they launched that lawsuit, I think you started to see Candace really pushing that she believed this. Right. She really started to do that, like doubling down, and like talk about doubling down. I'm talking about like back in June or something. Yeah. Now it's like she's like 1,000 millionth time double down.
Double down.
I can't help but feel like everything that she's doing now is somehow informed by this criminal case, and there's a strategy there.
No, I think you might be right on the money. And in my opinion, I think that the Macron case is solid. Given now again, you never know what's going to happen because they want a jury trial. I think they're going to drag this out, and Candace is going to ask. Personally, I think Candace is going to ask for it to be dismissed or wave the white flag and somehow or another claim victory. Even in her defeat, she's going to claim victory because she's going to say, "Hey, I took the L, so I can, for the sake of my children or for the sake of my husband, something like that." That's what's going to happen. But I do think the Macrons have a good case. In my opinion, I've had lawyers look at it. I've had lawyers on the show, and we've talked about it. I do think that you mentioned something not a moment ago, but earlier, that she might be doubling down and really make it sound like she really believes this. I do think that's probably the only stitch of possibility is the fact that she's coming across like, I truly believe that down is up and up is down, that right is left and left is right. Like I do believe this. Crazy, but I believe it. I think that's what she's really trying to push. So that it does seem like, well, she really did believe this about Lady Macron.
Which I think is just like I don't know. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know this stuff. But the Macrons sent her stuff. They sent her stuff a year ago. So
fun fact: the stuff that she brings up on the show, to the pictures and the announcements and the wedding picture, all that kind of stuff like that. That's the stuff that they sent her.
Yeah.
You literally are. I didn't know you could get evidence and then pick and choose whether or not the evidence is valid as a criminal, as the one that's being sued. That's crazy work. I didn't know we did that here. I'm taken aback. Like, this is the information that they said. And I said, how silly would it have been for the Macrons to know that Brigitte is a woman, or Brigitte is a man, and then sue knowing that they're going to have to prove this information? That's crazy. Like, that wouldn't, you're putting yourself in the crosshairs. Why did you do that? That wouldn't have made sense unless you know that she's a woman, which makes more sense. So, and a lot of people don't know, but in France right now, those 10 bloggers who are being charged with cyberbullying for doing the exact same thing, that case is going to be settled and waiting for the judge sometime early January to give the verdict on whether or not those 10 bloggers are going to go to jail for this. I don't know. Have you done anything with that, or do you know about that?
Yeah, I know a little bit about that. I should point out, it's like, I don't agree with that. I think that's, I don't think people should be going to jail. The whole cyberbullying thing. I mean, this is always my issue. It's, this is the kind of stuff where it's like, I mean, I'm not a fan of Macron's,
No, I got you.
And they are certainly not doing themselves any justice when it comes to Candace, with things like this,
Okay.
It's the same thing with, like, Holocaust denial. When you start imprisoning people for denying the Holocaust, it gives ammunition to people who deny the Holocaust to say, look, there's something here. Clearly, they wouldn't be putting people in prison unless they were telling the truth.
I can dig that. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you look at, even the case that was dismissed on appeal for defamation.
Yeah.
You even look at that, and Candace has lied about that case as well. I mean, she frames that case as it being about whether Brigitte Macron is a man or a woman.
No, right.
So she of course then frames it as, oh, this was dismissed, so it's proof that Macron is a man. But when you actually look at that case, the Macrons, they gave ID, they gave evidence, which Candace lied about as well. She's lied about, saying the evidence that they gave was an expired driver's license, and it's like I was saying at the start. The more you look into Candace's claims, the more you pay attention to it, the more it falls apart very, very quickly. As you know.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm right there with you. Well, Nathan Livingstone, thank you so much, man. That was a lot of fun. What time is it there?
It's nearly 12 p.m.
Okay, so almost noon. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, it's not 12 p.m. here. It's almost 7:30 now. 7:40, please forgive me, p.m. And you are ahead, so it's Wednesday there, right?
Yeah, I'm in the future. That's right.
Oh, you're in the future. You're calling from the future. There we go.
Yeah, from the future.
Hey, y'all, we got a time travel up in here.
The world hasn't ended. Candace has provided no more receipts.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Well, we have proof now. I love it.
Well, Nathan, hit me up. I'd love to do a live reaction to Candace's episodes, because watching it by myself, it's you go a bit crazy.
Really?
So I'd love to break it up and do a live response.
I love it. I'm going to tell you right now, we don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
We are prone to rage quit, and I do cheat on bingo. So so I'm just letting you know ahead of time, to know what to expect. Like, Jason's he's gonna try to get blackout bingo, and he might just rage quit and just give it up. I love it. Look, they're already asking for you. So there we go. Yes, we will definitely have Nathan back for sure. Thank y'all so much, everybody, for supporting him. And please go check out his Give, Send, Go, and read, of course, everything that's going on with Nathan and them. And of course, if you feel led, support him, help him out. Well, man, thank you so much, Nathan. I'll shoot you an email, and we can plan to have you come back.
Beautiful.
I love it. Hey, thank you so much, friend. Have a great day.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Jason.
Take care. Grace and peace, friend. All right. That was Nathan Livingstone from, I forgot to ask him, what is a milk bar? I meant to, why didn't y'all remind me? I forgot to ask him, what is a milk bar? Okay, so you know what that means then. We got to have Nathan come back. I'm going to shoot him an email right now. I forgot to ask you, what is a milk bar? What in the world is a milk bar? I literally forgot. Man, I think because I was calling him his name and I didn't say that. Like, what is a milk bar? You have to come back. All right. I don't know. Okay, somebody told me it's like a convenience store. I mean, it sounds like it does sound like a candy bar, though. I will say that. But somebody told me it's like a, hey, there we go. There's right there. It's like a corner store, like a 7-Eleven. Yeah, that's what I was told. Thank you, African Sheep. I like that name. But I'm going to pretend like I don't know because I need Nathan to come back and tell me again. Yeah, it's a convenience store. That is pretty funny. Okay. Well, anyway, we're going to save that for Nathan to come back, and he's going to explain to us. Real quick, shout out for real. Thank y'all so much. Phantom with the $2 says this: U.S. and Israel did not overthrow Assad. Turkey did. And as far as I remember, that's what I remembered as well. Thank you so much for that. $2. And then hot tip from our Lila Rose with a $13.99. Thank you for the $14. Hot tip. Candace just got a lot of emails on her tip email account. The rabbits are suing to get Candace kicked out of their holes. Hey, them Candace, look, the rabbit holes are like, look, we are full. We got too many. Return to sender. They're sending that email back. Shout out for real, Irene Britt US with the 10. You're both doing a great job. Thank you so much. Nathan, it was fun to have him on. I'm looking forward to having MilkBarTV back on again. All right, what do we have here? Thank you, Celeste, with the $5 says this. Nathan, your clips are very important to revealing the truth about people like Tucker, Candace, Fuentes, Tate, and etc. It's invaluable. God bless you. Thank you so much. That's very kind. I know he really appreciates that. And then lastly, right here, thank you so much, Mad Mom with the 2. Thank you both for what you do. Great work. That was a lot of fun, man. Shout out to Nathan for sure from MilkBarTV. I appreciate him. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad he was able to fall on through. And yes, we will have him back because I think everybody would appreciate that, him coming on through here and sharing some more of what's going on. You know what we can do? We can celebrate prayerfully when that case gets thrown out. We're going to have him come back through. There we go. Prayerfully, he'll find out on Thursday. Maybe we'll have him back next week sometime to come and talk about it and play Candy Rock Bingo. What a crazy name, man. I was talking to a friend of mine this morning. I'm like, what in the world possessed me to come up with that? That is the craziest thing. Okay, yeah, y'all are not going to let me get, okay, fine, okay. But I want Nathan to come back. It's like a way to get him to come back. There was no Doge in 2022. See, there you go. I love it. Thank y'all so much, everybody who jumped in to the best live chat on the internet. All right, real quick. Y'all do know that I did rage quit, and there's like 14 minutes left on Candace. Do y'all want to watch it? And if y'all say no, I'm not mad. So real quick in the chat. One in the chat if you want me to bring it back in and finish it. One in the chat. Oh, come on, for real? Why? Come on. Oh, gosh. See, y'all are hard-headed because I told y'all ones in the chats. Y'all ain't talking about some yes. Y'all putting green hearts. Oh, now they, for the love. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong, Lord? Let's go. Bring it in. Let's go.
That a lot of these events that are happening, these inexplicable events like the Malibu fires, these sort of coastal events, the Texas floods, that this is not happening by accident, okay? I have a feeling of a sense of dread that the Fed is taking taking from Americans right now, and that we are heading toward war. Okay? I'm going to share that. I feel that we are headed toward war, that they want war by any means necessary, and that you need to be, wherever you are in the world, fully dialed into that. Okay? We can't be stupid this time. We cannot believe what the media is telling us. We cannot believe what the governments are telling us. We cannot believe whatever it is, whatever attack that's going to happen, and we're going to be told that it was this guy. We have to start to recognize the pattern of things, okay? The predictive model of this is my red line, then the red line gets crossed and people are denying it. And what happens? Christians are mass slaughtered every single time, propagandized people, Christians in the East to hate Christians in the West. And there's just less of us by the end of it. And these things.
Okay, I'm going to say something that a lot of people don't like. Candace is not a Christian. I'm just going to say that. Let me big screen myself. Candace, I think it's Amber Owens, is not a Christian. I know. I'm not trying to say that Catholics by default are just not Christian. That's not what I'm saying. Candace is not a Christian. We can argue and we can knuckle it out about Catholics and Protestants. That's not the argument I'm having. I'm talking about Candace. Candace is not a Christian, period. Full stop. Catch me outside. That's it. She's talking about Christians being slaughtered, but Christians today in Nigeria never get anything. Christians in Sudan, Christians in Darfur do not get any call out from her at all, whatsoever. None whatsoever. And that's the part that just makes me angry. And I don't want to, I'm trying not to rage quit after I already rage quit. Y'all talked me back in it. I don't know how we even got back here, but like she doesn't care about Christians, true Christians that are being slaughtered in Nigeria today. We had Frank from the Nigerian perspective on a couple weeks ago, gave us a great insight into that. And she never talks about that. Never talks about it. There's this mystical war between Christians in the East and the West. I don't know what she's talking about, but there's real problems going on and she just completely ignores it. Okay, I'm going to get done. I promise you.
Things tend to happen, world wars, when they want a reset because people start waking up. And so I just wanted to express that to you, that I feel that we are reaching that brink right now and you need to prepare for that. And feels like an almost inevitability because wars are planned in boardrooms, okay? In boardrooms. You're going to send you and your children and your sons, but they are not going to fight. And I don't love a scenario right now that's happening where we have envoys being sent to Russia and Israel and everybody's meeting all this. It feels like something's coming. And I know that you probably sense that dread too. Turning our attention to Turning Point. Did you know, I learned this from one of our sleuths, that Turning Point might potentially now be becoming a real estate empire. Apparently, Tyler Boyer has a younger brother who for 10 years has worked in dental sales until Charlie died, because a unique opportunity presented itself at Turning Point USA where Tyler had begun telling people that TPUSA plans to roll out a program to build houses for first-time home buyers. They're going to use Turning Point USA's position and audience to market this idea of new homes. And the marketing pitch is that Charlie preached to young Christians about how school and universities was a waste of time and that it was a waste of money and that they should get married early and they should start their lives and they should have kids. But he never really taught them how or what they should do next. So they are planning to leverage Turning Point USA's position with young Christians as a captive audience to build and sell houses. Okay, that's what the person told me, and I checked that out. They presented some proof of that conversation happening, and I think that's interesting. I think we should share that. And I know that.
But she didn't share anything. She didn't tell you how.
I'm sure that that's probably what Charlie wrote. He apparently had a 15, 20-year plan, according to Frank Turek. Or was it Rob McCoy? Rob McCoy said that, I think. I think they all said it, honestly, but Rob McCoy did say that. He kept this in his notebooks. And so a real estate empire could be on the brink for Turning Point USA. Amazing. That really is something. Anyways, you guys, we are...
No proof. No proof of that. Nothing. She just says it. And again, in order to refute it, Turning Point would need to answer and say something, and I think they're not.
Are going to take another break for our sponsors, and then I will get into some of your comments. We've discovered more, by the way, but it's only Tuesday. So we'll give you more. We'll give you more.
Stay tuned till tomorrow.
Anyways, you guys, to get to some housekeeping, some great news. My book, Make Him a Sandwich, is not just available on the Make Him a Sandwich website, which is makehimasandwich.com, but now it is available on Amazon. So you can get that. You can go to Amazon.com and you can now get that delivered directly to you. I think, by the way, George put a note that says that it's not in stock. It's not true. It just means Amazon hasn't received our shipment yet. So it is in stock, and you can buy that today. I'm really excited about that. It's a really good book, and it gets into the history of feminism, and it's quite a personal book also, and kind of my own journey with feminism and kind of learning where all bad ideas come from, which is kind of, or I guess I should say, as it pertains to America, the assassination of the Tsar, another assassination event, that he had to take that option so that people would wake up. And I do think that it catalyzed an awakening here. And these are risks that I also feel missionally I have to take these risks to say and to tell people at risk of my own life, because there won't be a tomorrow for our children. I sense that dread, and I hate to communicate that to you. I always try to be optimistic, but this is bad. I feel it, and I think you all feel it too. So yeah, there's a lot to digest, and we're not done, of course. I am hopeful that Erica Kirk will issue a statement. I think in this new capacity, CEO and chairman, that we deserve an answer about that check, that phone call. We deserve a clear answer on that, and no dancing around it. Because I said my sources were pretty solid on that, and I am just kind of trying to digest the devastation of it all, really, to be honest with you, what the implications are. Anyways, we have new merch that's on our website as well. You can also now gift someone with a membership to Club Candace to join our book club. By the way, we're about to, when we get off, head to the book club as we continue this conversation about Sigmund Freud and the Jewish mystical tradition, and which correlates directly with what's going on today, kind of a war that happened and nobody really knows what was going on in Europe. This book is really important. So yeah, you can now gift a membership if you'd like to. We are kind of running out of time here, but I'm going to read the top comment from yesterday's episode. It says, "It's crazy to me that Candace is doing her own research on her own assassination plot. Meanwhile, uncovering things in our government that are hidden in plain sight. We need to wake up, America, not just America, world. The world needs to wake up." And I think the mistake, which there are many mistakes the devil makes, but in overplaying his hand, was publicly executing Charlie, because it stirred something inside of all of us who still have goodness, inside of all of us who will say no to money, inside those of us who would rather be sued than to acquiesce to evil. I think it made us realize that we have to be soldiers for God. If they're going to be soldiers for darkness, then we have to be soldiers for light. Let me see if I can read a couple of these comments before we go off here. Wow, that's a huge donation that was made by Laughing Cats Music World. Thank you. I'm going to need it because I think the federal government is trying to bankrupt me 1,000 different ways. Legal fare is one of the strategies, legal fare. They just keep you constantly being sued at all times. And I feel like that's happened since I escaped.
But you were asking to be sued.
Person writes, "Supporting my favorite girl, my mouth was wide when you dropped the name DuPont. I cried tonight. I love you, and I love Charlie from the get-go. A big part of my everyday was ripped from me when they killed Charlie. You are true blue. When the turn is out and impossible to deny, you can say, as the French say, c'est la vie. May they all go down." Yeah. May everyone involved in this thing go down. I think that's fair. Maybe Turning Point will have some very clear answers. They haven't given us any thus far. Just more attacks on Candace, more people purporting to be Christians attacking Candace, using biblical scripture. I have no time for this anymore. I really don't. We are here now, and the world can see what's happening. You can call me crazy. You can call me evil. You can call me demonic. You can call me whatever you need to call me that keeps you warm at night.
Don't worry.
Because let me tell you, it isn't going to be nearly as warm as you are going to be when you burn in hell.
Wow.
for an eternity.
Wow.
Okay. It's going to be like nothing you could
Wow.
possibly imagine. This life is short. Charlie's was shorter, a short end, but this life is short relative to eternity, and that is real. And I commit myself to truth, and I just decided that I'm going to stay on the side of truth, and I am going to keep enduring these attacks and stand with the people. Seven Sheets writes, it feels like you're the only close friend really mourning him. I've been there. I'm so sorry for your loss. Please stay strong. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yako writes, many blessings, Candace, from Anton Daniels, and the bag chasers keep fighting the good fight.
What?
Snowy writes, integrity, courage, intelligence,
Hold
articulate.
on. Wait. Anton believes this? Hold on. Hold up. Hold on. Did I hear that right? There ain't no way. Man.
Life is short. Charlie's was shorter, a short end, but this life is short relative to eternity, and that is real. And I commit myself to truth, and I just decided that
That's
I'm going
crazy.
to stay on the side of truth, and I am going to keep enduring these attacks and stand with the people. Seven Sheets writes, it feels like you're the only close friend really mourning him. I've been there. I'm so sorry for your loss. Please stay strong. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yako writes, many blessings, Candace, from Anton Daniels, and the bag chasers keep fighting the good fight. Snowy writes, integrity, courage, intelligence,
Wow.
articulate, as beautiful inside and as outside. Candace Owens from the eyes of a 79-year-old. Thank you. I love making your generation proud, because I do think that that was the last generation that had real values. You know, America lost its way when we decided that we would do anything for money, which is what BB said on camera. You know, America is something you can move very easily with money. Not this American. So there's that. And Amir writes, I voted for my taxpayer funds to go from the CIA towards the Candace Intelligence Agency for all of her investigative work, because at this point, she is one of the rare public figures that are actually fighting for truth. Sadly, I mean, I just really thought there would be more allies. And there are some. Like I said, there are some good feds. There is an underground movement that is happening. But there's not nearly enough for the amount that we pay our taxes. I'll tell you that for free. Joy writes, this is deep. I've been watching Ken Burns' The Revolution. The French connection is long with America. It is. And silly us for thinking they just kind of did us a favor and said, Saranara, right? No way. Of course, that's not how it happened to us silly Americans. Anyways, you guys, we're going to jump into book club. Support the show. You can do that in a variety of ways. Like I said, buying gear. We've got new kit available on the website, which we're excited about. And you can, of course, buy the book, which is available on Amazon.
I think we're
We're
done.
gonna
Is that
keep
fair?
pushing.
I think we're
Today
done.
was definitely an episode where I feel like we went max for Charlie. So we'll see you tomorrow.
She does sound wore out. If anybody said that she sounds wore out, I'm right there with you. She sounds beat. She sounds beat. Hold on, let me see. This is a very interesting. I need to look into this. I'm telling you, it's black men who used to be Democrat, who Candace convinced to leave. Now they're deceived. You know, I got to look into that. Yeah, that's some good stuff, though. Yeah, this is some crazy, crazy work. Okay, y'all, I don't know what we're going to do. So Anton Daniels is a big content creator, really big in the, I would say black accountability space, but I need to find out, I need to find this out. So I'm going to be doing some research. I'm kind of bothered by that, truth be told. But, and I'm going to see if I can find this clip, because her live stream you can't read the live stream now that the stream is ended. So I can't see exactly who that was that wrote that comment. So I'll find it eventually. But everybody, I want to say thank y'all so much. I appreciate Nathan from MilkBarTV for following through. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad he came through. And such of that nature. I want to thank y'all so much. I want to thank y'all so much for tapping in. Thank you, everybody who gave. Thank you so much for the very kind super chats. It means a lot. I really do appreciate it. Thank y'all to everybody who went and checked out what Nathan Livingstone is doing and supported him. Shout out to y'all as well. It means a lot that y'all are seeing him and want to help him out in his fight against Andrew Tate. Appreciate it. Thank y'all to all of y'all who hit that like button, all that kind of good jazz that have subscribed. I'm trying to hit a goal of 100,000 subscribers by April. Help me out. Help a brother out. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead. Subscribe. Hopefully I earned it. If I didn't earn it, let me know what I need to do to earn your subscription. I'll try to do better tomorrow for sure. We will be back tomorrow. Forgot about that. Thursday, I'm going to have Megan Grout on. We're going to be talking about Fonnie Willis and the Donald Trump corruption trial, RICO trial here in Georgia that has fallen completely apart. And so I have a wonderful attorney coming in. We're going to be talking about that on Thursday. It's going to be Thursday at 1:00 in the afternoon. So that way we still got time to get to the Candaspiracy and I can get over to the high school and pick up my baby. So that's going to be Thursday. The announcement is already up. I'll make sure I push it out again tomorrow so y'all can check it out. And I'll make sure it's available, of course, for y'all to watch on replay if you miss it. But I'd love for y'all to come through and ask. She's going to talk a lot about that case, how it was structured, how it was put together, of course, why it fell apart, why it got ultimately dismissed, and then what's going to possibly be the future for Fonnie. And what do you think? Because, here in Georgia, if the prosecutor, if your district attorney, rather, is disqualified, you have to pay the legal fees of the people. So that's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. So thank you so much. I'm glad I did put it up. Thank you. So that's going to be on Thursday. And of course, we'll be doing Candaspiracy the rest of the week as well, Lord willing. So thank you so much to my moderators. Can y'all just please let the mods know that we appreciate them? I be stressing them out sometimes and they be really holding on. So shout out to the mods. Y'all just put mods in the chat. They be putting up with me, man. I'm sure they're going to be like, Jason, what is wrong with you? But I thank y'all so much, every last one of you, for hanging with me. It's been a long day, but I thank you so much for not only for liking the video, commenting, and all that kind of good jazz, but for just being who you are, making this the best live chat on the internet. Thank you so much. Let's jump into the most electrifying comment section. I'll see y'all over there. Until next time, everybody, grace and peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Jay Whitt Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.